Well, hello everyone. It's Jeff from Mid Atlantic Craps, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. With me is it must be Thursday night. That's all I gotta say. It must be Thursday night with Ed and Jeff. And welcome, Ed. I know you call the show something else, but how are you this evening?
Mutt is doing fine.
Mutt and Jeff. I don't like to say that, but you
I
call
say
the
it every
show
time.
that.
Mutt, Jeff. I'm
I
Mutt.
don't want
You're
to say it.
Jeff.
Well, here we are. We're back for another Thursday night. We've got a special guest with us tonight. Might as well go ahead and just shift the screen over and bring him in right now.
Bring him
Without
in.
further ado, let's just go ahead and bring him in right now. We're going to say hello to a person that you had on your Tales of the Table that he seemed to be loved amongst our craps community. It's Gargoyle, and I'll let you do the introduction.
Well, he's turned into quite the folk star. I think. I mean, he always flew under the radar, and now, I mean, if he went to New York City, his name would be in lights. It'd be Gragoil everywhere.
Yes, it probably will be.
Now, he was very popular. He was very popular. Great player, extremely knowledgeable, and he's kind of like me. He doesn't have a filter.
Unfiltered. We called the
Your
last show.
unfiltered crap talk tonight, baby.
Yep. We called the last show BS, and everybody knew what the BS stood for. Before the show was over with, lo and behold, both of us, actually said the word. We had a good show last time. Between both shows right now, we've got almost 70 people watching, so it's incredible that we've only been live now 4 minutes and 50 seconds, and actually less than that because we have a little countdown timer. But Gargoyle, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well,
And
this is
anybody that's not envious of his man cave just ain't a man.
That's only like part of it. If I
I
show you the
know, but
other side,
I'm already getting excited just sitting in my chair looking at it.
yeah.
oh. Well, we do have a lot to talk about. We have no script whatsoever. We've got a couple questions that came in, one through chat, one through email. Hopefully, we're going to get to them. This is unfiltered. We're going to talk about craps and a few other things. And Ed, I have somebody that just said something about the video that you put out last night was a good video. You said that you came out of retirement, but you've been on with my show since you went into retirement. Here you are.
Right.
You were unfiltered last night. Gargoyle said before we went on the show that he's unfiltered. I guess I'm going to have to be the filtered one. My role tonight will be to moderate. You two will do most of the talking. I'll try to keep it moving along.
Just don't mute us, man. 'Cause then don't mute us because we got to get laughs some kind of way.
We won't mute you. I mean, it's like I said when you and I are together. I'm the entertainer, you're the educator, and it's edumacational. I think that's how I said it. Didn't I say
Yeah,
edumacational? That's the word.
education,
Yeah,
education,
edumational. Yep, that's it.
brown water, and I
So,
got brown water, so you know me.
well, I don't. I have my blue water again. I don't know what Gargoyle's drinking. He's drinking coffee or some
I'm
sort.
I'm
probably
drinking.
drinking
I'm
coffee.
drinking a different type of brown water. It's coffee.
Um, mine's blue. It's a zero Powerade. It's the competitor to Gatorade. So I'll make mention of both of them so that we don't get in trouble on the sponsorship side of it because this show is not sponsored. It's unfiltered.
But we are available to be sponsored. If
Say that
there's any
again.
whiskey companies, we are available to be sponsored. If there's any whiskey companies out there
Yes,
like Bullet
yes,
or
we are.
somebody that'd like to sponsor it, we'd
Yep.
gladly accept.
Well, let me get this out of the way before I go past it. First of all, guys, if you have a question for either Gargoyle or Ed or me, please put an @ sign before it. My software I'm using tonight isn't like Craps Chat on Sunday night. I can't pin those, but I will go back and look at them. I have a notepad here running, and I'm going to try to do that. But I would like to go ahead and put this up from John from Pro Craps, who said we need to call out Gargoyle. He donated a casino-used felt for craps for the cure, and I believe it's right behind us. Gargoyle, why don't we start right there? You tell us about that. We'll get the craps for the cure information out right now. So go ahead, tell us about it.
So that's a that layout is about 10 years old. It's from Fiesta Ranchero. It's off the strip. It's one of the first ones that opened off the strip in a long time. But since COVID, they decided not to reopen it, and as a matter of fact, it's going to get demolished. So this is a rare layout. It's brand new, never been touched.
Oh
12
wow.
footer, very nice. It's got fire and dollar signs. I mean, it's and you can't see the other side, but it's very nice. And you know, I decided to help out uh, with the cure for the donation, and I'm making an announcement that I am matching dollar for dollar up to $1,000 what this layout goes for. And
Well,
this
Perfect.
layout is
yes.
going to this layout. I mean, it's a pretty penny because you can't get it anymore. The casino's closed, and I hope whoever takes it doesn't puts it out on eBay and sells it. But whoever has it, they can do whatever they want to do. But it's just like some other layouts I have. You can't get it anymore. The casino is done.
Well, if they want to go and
Man,
look at
that
the at if they want to go look at the felt, it's actually on the Craps for the Cure website right now. You go to crapsforthecure.com. You can go over to the website and actually bid on it now. And maybe I don't know if John is still here. I know he's working, but he popped into chat here. I don't know if he knew that you were going to. Oh, here he comes. He's on my side now. There, I'll put that one down there too. He I don't know if he knew that you were going to match it, but that's a pretty big
No,
announcement to be made here. Oh, he didn't
no,
know.
I
So,
wanted to surprise him,
all right. So, John,
and it will go nice on a 12 footer. But if you have a 14 footer, it will you don't have to dangle it a lot. It will just have like empty space. So like I laid it. I have a 12 footer, and it's laying on the sides a little bit.
okay. All right. Yeah, I probably, if I was prepared for this, I probably could have put a picture of it from. I don't know if I have that screen available to actually go to that screen. I don't think I do because this is a whole different setup that I use here. Yeah, I don't have it right now. I should have been prepared for
Well, I
that.
mean,
That I could actually show
that
it.
is a commendable, and I can't express how gracious his offer is. Not only number one, he's giving away a collectible, a super collectible item, giving it away to be donated, and he's going to match your donation up to 1,000. And I'm going to tell you what, that is $1,000 layout.
Oh,
If
every bit
you're a
of it.
collector, have any type of collectability in you, that is a really nice collectible piece right there.
Yep. So whether somebody's going to put it on their table or they're going to collect it, that's a good point, Ed. I mean, I'm looking at it right now on the website, and as I can scroll around on it to get a really better look than probably what's behind Gargoyle's shoulder there, if you will. But it looks like there's if you go to Craps for the Cure, John just put it in there. I'll put it up here again. Crapsforthecure.com is a website. You can go to the raffle page and you can see all the stuff that's being raffled off. But the news is that Gargoyle is going to match up to $1,000, whatever it goes for on the highest bid or their highest raffle or whatever he's doing here. It looks like John's selling the tickets for it, but we can talk about that coming up Sunday night on Craps Chat. We're going to talk about all the items for sale and a little bit more of what John had on his Coffee and Crap show today. But wow, that's some really good news.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It
I
is.
just want John to send me one of those shirts that he showed on his video today. The green shirts. I just want a shirt. I'm not going to be able to play, but I want a shirt as a souvenir, large.
Yeah, he is still here. He's people bounce back and forth between the two channels. Guys, we're dual streaming Mid Atlantic Craps and Roll to Win. It doesn't matter which way you watch us, where you put the chat in. I'm trying to keep track of it, but we're doing the best that we can do. And John says that this is unreal. He can't believe that you're actually going to match it. So my hat goes off to you, Gargoyle. Thank you very much. I don't know, but many people probably don't know. John mentioned it earlier in the week about there's somebody that has about a $5,000 donation that's going through. I don't know if it's anybody other than Mid Atlantic Crafts, but my channel all year long, I raise money all year long leading up to this. And although I'm below the 5,000, I have a husband and a wife, anonymous person that wants to bring me to 5,000. So I'm going with a minimum of 5,000. Your 1,000, if it went for that much, that would just be awesome. John's trying to raise 50,000 for to be able to train a dog for a veteran with PTSD, and it's one hell of a cause.
Yes.
I agree. It's a great cause. I watched that lady today. So,
There you go. John says if we sell out on the tickets, that's 2,500 and the 1,000K. He says, holy moly. Yeah, that lady today on Pro Craps, guys, if you want to really see, you need to go watch Coffee and Craps today over on the Casino Gaming TV network. John's show today with the lady, I don't remember her name, but it was very, very educational. But, well, Gargoyle, thank you for donating that. I just donated a couple pair of dice. I feel like I need to pull out my old felt and throw that in there, and the old. I don't know. I'm kidding. I've done enough.
This is not a show off. I'm glad that I have the opportunity to do that. This is not a, let's not. This is not a let's bring out the measuring stick and see who's. I'm just glad I'm able to do that.
Well, we're glad that you are doing it. John's and his team of people that are working on this have worked really well. The Mid Atlantic Craps Channel has donated all 3 years, but nothing like this year that I've raised this year. But I started a little earlier this year than I did before. Looks like Dustin said that the La Fiesta was originally owned by, I don't know how you pronounce that family, and ran the day-to-day.
Malou, they're Lebanese.
Yep, okay.
They're from my side of the town.
Ah, gotcha. All right. Well, we've talked about the Craps for the Cure. Guys, if you want any more information, simply go to the website, crapsforthecure.com. There's tickets, there's donations, and there's raffles. If you want to raffle on that layout that Gargoyle has there, hit the raffle tickets. You've seen what John has put here in the chat. I just think that overall, thank you from everybody that's involved to especially for hitting that goal so that we can at least get one dog for somebody that's suffering, one of our veterans that's suffering from PTSD. Here's a question for you, Ed, from John. Is Ed going to buy the raffle ticket for the bobblehead? We will smash it with a hammer on a YouTube short.
yes.
There you have it, John. You heard it from the horse's mouth.
But I don't know if I want to smash it or shoot it. I'm thinking shoot it.
Well, it's only so tall, I guess you're.
Yeah, I know, but I'm a good shot.
Okay, I got what you're saying there. Well, in any event, guys, let's move on with the show. If you have a question for Gargoyle or Ed, please put a capital Q around it, and I'll be glad to ask it. I'm watching the chats when they come in. Ed and Gargoyle, let's talk craps. Where do you want to start?
I don't know. I came out of retirement last night just for like 20 minutes. So you saw my rant last night.
Well, the rant and the terminology, what you consider, I say it all the time that there's so many channels on YouTube, and I happen to be one of them. I stopped running strategy videos a while back, and I've done a couple comparisons based on some requests when somebody sees something on YouTube and they really want to say, does it work? I have the ability to roll it out live here and record it, but I use WinCraps a little bit. I'm not that dabble in it. I can write a little bit of scripting for it, but I'm nowhere near as proficient as some people are. And a strategy can win and a strategy can lose. But you did come out and at a retirement, if you will, and you actually went through a process in the video explaining what I think people that I've talked to since the video came out, they didn't realize that you just started with a 6 and 8 and you spread out from that standpoint. So why don't the two of you talk about
$30 6 and I think the 8 was a point, and I put $100 odds on it.
Yeah, and you did recognize that you paid yourself wrong. Yeah, you paid 140. You should have paid 120. It happens in a video. It happens. It happens.
Especially when you're drinking.
Well, I couldn't tell you were drinking last night, but if you say so.
I wasn't, but I was really pissed. John had pissed me off so bad I couldn't stand it. I had to get on.
You know he's here, right? You know he's here.
I don't care. He knows it. I called him out. I called him out last night, I think. Well, I didn't, not by name. Not by name. I
Well,
did, but I did. He knows who I'm talking about.
well, that
So
yeah.
so so Jeff, so Jeff,
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna
Yes, sir.
butt in here. I'm gonna
Sure,
butt
butt in
in here.
anytime you want.
So this is Mutt, Jeff, and the butthead. So I'm gonna butt in here. Um, you know, there's a fine line what strategy is. Okay, most of what people call strategies are common sense. All right. So I mean, if you walk up to a table and you watch the dice for a little bit, and people PSO, PPSO, two rolls and seven out, common sense tells you that it's a cold table and you can play the don'ts on it, right? That's not a strategy. That's just common sense. If you're, if you want to sit there at the table and there's a bunch of shooters on it, common sense tells you to play $12 6 and 8 on them if you want to play something, or play the don't if that's your game. That's just common sense. Strategy is if you are a true DI and you know what advantage you can get from your toss, then you can create a betting strategy that you stick to because you know how you toss the dice. If you're not a shooter, but you want to sit at a table and bet on other people, you can come up with an advantage play to gain money from just other people shooting. But most of that is just common sense play. So I'll give you an example. I'll just give you a quick example. Let's say that somebody is a hardcore DI, and any given day and twice on the weekend, they can roll. Oh, you're a hardcore DI. Okay, Ed. So Ed is a
No,
hardcore DI.
I'm pointing at Jeff. I'm pointing at Jeff.
Not me.
Ed,
I'm not a
Jeff.
DI.
Okay.
I don't claim to be a DI.
At any given day, they can roll. They can set the point and roll three paying numbers at least, and then I don't care what happens. They can roll 15 after that or seven out. But if they can roll three numbers, right? You can walk up to the table, $10 table, put a $10 pass line, set the point, put 135 across, hit three numbers. That should pay, if you're doing the math, that should pay about 105. Take everything down, put 52 across, and you banked 50 some dollars. Now, most people will say, I can do that. That's an advantage play for a DI. But some people will say, $50, I want to come in there and just blaze the lights out of it, and I want to make a couple $1,000s. Okay, if you're that good, walk up to a craps table, put $10, and then when you set the point, go 640 across for three rolls. All of a sudden, it's like deers in the headlight. Oh, that's a lot of money. What if I PSO? But wait a minute. I thought you just said you could roll three numbers any given day and twice on the weekend. That's why I'm saying hardcore DIs, they know what the advantage is and they don't know how to bet it. But that's a betting strategy for a DI. You can go four numbers. You can go five rolls. As the better you get, the more you extend. It's not about making money. DI is not about making money. It's about minimizing losses. That's the advantage.
Very well put. Very well put. Ed said
Because
something.
losses will come.
Oh yeah.
And so
Yes.
you want to make them miserable. Yeah. That's the whole
So
point. Exactly.
So, Gargoyle, I'm going to ask a question. There's a couple questions that have already rolled in for you that I'll put up on the screen here in just a second. When you go to the table and you probably play sparingly with other people, either you know, but if there's somebody there, do you bet on the other people, or do you just wait for either somebody like Ed or you, or do you just bet on yourself and just wait it out?
Most of the time, there's nobody at the table. I play when nobody's at the table. Now, I have been known to come up and, just if I wanted to have fun, go stand on the table and play with fun money. I just do a $12 6 and 8 on anybody. because that's the numbers that have the most odds to hit. But usually I'm either playing with someone like, a friend or somebody that we go and play at the tables, and then I'm betting on him and I'm betting on myself, and he's doing the same thing. But 9 times out of 10, the table's empty, or we don't play on it, because simply I want to get into a rhythm. I don't want to wait for the dice to come to me. Number one. Number two, the way you get rated at a table, it's per a an adjustment of your entire betting. So if you bet 640 on yourself, but then bet $12 6 and 8 on somebody else, it's the average of the both that you get rated on. So if I'm rated as a black chip player, I don't want to hurt myself by lowering that advantage by betting on somebody.
That
And
makes
when I go
sense.
at night and just want to have fun, I don't give them my card, and I usually tell them I don't want to be rated.
Really? Wow.
Yes, I
Well,
learned
you
that from a
probably.
pit boss a long, long time ago. I was at the Grand, and I was rated as a
Very
black
smart.
chip player at the Grand at the craps table. And I wanted to take a break, and so I went to the roulette table, and I was playing a $25 red or black. He came over and he told the guy, take him off the computer, take him off the computer, the system. He's like, you don't want to be rated. I'm like, why? He's like, you're a black chip player. You start playing green chip over here, you're gonna mess up your rating and get down. So he's like, just tell him you don't want to be rated, and that's okay.
Wow. That I'm not gonna say I learned something, but I never looked at it that way. So I guess maybe I've learned something today. Now I can shut the show down and go to bed now. But no, wow, that's very
Slots is
interesting.
different, right? Slots is
Yeah.
separate. So you get rated on slots separately from gaming table. They have it's dollar per one tier per dollar, or if it's video poker, it's 5 for 1. But that's a different rating, and they don't mix the two together. You just keep earning tier credits on slots. But at craps at the table games, it's an average of what you're betting. It's time and betting. It's average of time and betting.
Right. Yeah, your average daily bet, your average ADT, whatever they call that, whatever that acronym is
Yep.
that they use for you.
ADT,
There you go.
average
Thank you.
daily theoretical, or whatever it's called.
Yep. Well, I'm going to
That's
put this
very
up here.
smart. That's very smart.
I'm going to put this up here. We're going to come back to this. So John says, Ed, I talked to you after the show last night. It's all good. That video I did the other morning was, let's clear my screen here, was honestly to ask some questions for the guys that are answering tonight, not saying to create an agenda. We didn't create an agenda. John, what I'm going to do is if we get to that part, I've got your email up here. If we get to that part, we'll highlight some of that and talk about that. But I wanted Ed to see that post that, everything's
Yeah,
all
I
good.
saw it. I saw him post that a minute ago. No problem.
Yep. So here's a question for you. It comes off my channel, Gargoyle, from Joe Ramus. He wants to know when you go to the casino, does he play a certain strategy or betting system? I'm pretty sure you just answered that question. If do you ever go with more than just say you and maybe one or two other friends or acquaintances? And if so, does it ever change from you just said it wasn't about making money. Has it ever changed from being serious to having a good time with some of your friends?
Yeah, yeah. So when I'm serious with one or two guys that we're doing our early play, yes, I do have a betting strategy. Um, and at night, I go group play, and stuff like that, or just sit down, and it's completely different. So everybody that goes to the casino as a tourist. Now, I don't have a local casino, and I understand local casinos where like it's one of a kind, and out in the cornfields or something like that, they do things differently than if you go to Vegas, right? So your local casino, you can go in and you visit every day. I'm talking as a tourist that goes every now and then to casinos, and I used to go to Vegas a lot before COVID. Um, I anybody that goes need to take some money just to have fun, or else you're liable to use your serious money as fun and end up losing everything. You gotta say, okay, here's my bankroll that I'm this is my serious place, and I'm gonna take $500,000 or whatever it is, and I'm just gonna go have fun with it. Whether it's sitting at at the craps table with a crowded room full of beautiful women and just chit chatting and stuff like
There
that,
you go.
or yeah, there you go, and or playing cards, three card poker or something like that, just to kind of have fun. Yeah, that's how I have fun. If my wife's with me, we go to shows and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff is sometimes, most of the time, is comped. But I take money with me to just kind of. This is money that I'm freely willing to give away, and I'm okay with it because I'm having fun with it. But when I'm at the table and I'm using my bankroll, I'm there to win money. And
Right.
yes, my strategy, because I know what I can do. Every person has to be honest with themselves before they go to the casino of what they can do. The eye is a lifestyle. It's not a one night fling that, oh yeah, I know how to throw the dice, so now I'm a DI, I'm gonna go to the casino. Oh, I threw really good on my bed, so I'm gonna go to the casino and play. So I have a strategy, and it's people different. It's based on your comfort level, but I go across very high. I take a few, and then I go down, or I start with one, depending on what's going on. I start with 135 or 140 across, whatever it is, which depending on the number is. And I press two, take one, press two, take one, press two, take one, regardless of what hits. And I have the bankroll to sustain me. And it all depends on your bankroll too, right? Some people can't do that. So it all depends on the bankroll. Everybody PSOs. Everybody sevens out. I don't care how good you DI you are, or how bad. But you gotta, if you're serious about dice influencing is a way of life. It's all about planning. It's all about mindset. It's all about observing the table. You got to have a plan. If your spot is not there, do you keep walking, or do you take a different spot? And now you're not shooting from position. You got to watch the table, see if people, if the table is wide open. For me, there's nothing to watch. I walk up, the table is wide open. But for others that like to play with others, if you walk to a casino and there are three tables, two of them are shoulder to shoulder, one is wide open, and they're all $10 table, there's a reason why that table is empty and nobody's playing on it. I guarantee you. It's mostly because it it's 7 7 7 7 7 7 7. It's probably a don't comer's dream, right? But there's a reason why a table is open. There's always a reason for things that happen in the casino. You just gotta be mindful and observant. Um, you gotta dress for it. A lot of people. So do you know why real DIs don't wear loose fit clothing? Ed, do you know
Oh
why?
no, I'm in trouble.
Because if you're a true DI, you usually tuck your shirt in and stuff like that, and you don't wear loose fit clothing for this, because a lot of the DIs lean on the table, whether they're throwing this way or they're throwing that way. And if you have loose fit clothing and you just go like this and you throw, it's gonna get snagged, and your hand's gonna go like this. And if it
He's
rolls a
a
seven,
hundred
the pit
percent
boss,
correct right there.
the pit
A
boss is
hundred
gonna call a
percent
seven.
correct.
DI is a lifestyle. 90%, 99% of the shit you see on YouTube is wrong, wrong, wrong. If you truly want to be DI, you gotta learn what DI is. It's a lifestyle. It's a mindset. It's everything that has to do before you get on the table. Getting on the table, picking up the dice and throwing it is easy. Everything you do before you get on the table, that's the hard stuff. Walking away from a table knowing that you're not going to throw dice, that's hard. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people don't pass the dice if they don't feel like they can throw because they want to throw the dice. You gotta use this. You gotta use this. Sorry for the rant, but I hope I answered your question.
No, your part when you pointed to your head there was a part in Ed's video yesterday where he said the advantage for a player is you pointed to your head as your brain, and I think
Yes.
that plays through. Was what you just said. I have some questions coming in. You've answered some of the questions, but I wrote this down where you said DI is a lifestyle, and then you kind of used a few analogies that kind of went somewhere else. But I mean, it is a lifestyle if you're really going to do it and you're going to be serious. Because, like you said, there's a time to party with people, and there's a time to make serious money without making mistakes to your bankroll, and you have to use that. Go
I
ahead,
want
Ed.
to make a quick comment before you go into those questions that are posted because I know they got to be good. He's 100% correct about the clothing. Hey, look at this shirt I'm just wearing. This is the type shirt exactly that I play in every freaking time. You know what else? This is the exact same shirt that I practice in every freaking day. My wife thinks my wardrobe is boring. I don't give a shit because it's a lifestyle, just like he said. All right, so if you wear, like he said, if you wear too loose of clothing, you'll start they'll start grabbing and you'll start short arming. It'll pull and up against the table because we're all right up in the table. We're all getting locked into our spot when we're making that long roll, and all of a sudden your shirt's starting to grab and that's bothering you, and you can't, you're wearing too loose of clothing. You gotta get everything just like you play. You gotta practice. I wear the same shoes that I play in, I practice in. The same pants that I play in, I practice in. The same shirts I play in, I practice in. I'm down here 2 hours tonight before this show came on. I'm practicing. I'm wearing exactly what I'm going to be wearing at the casino.
Listen, practice like you play like you practice is not a slogan. It is a real thing. I like. I'm not wearing my watch or anything because I was before the video. I was practicing. When I go to play, I don't wear my watch. Stays in the room because I don't want anything jiggling or anything on my hands. I want to be able to feel the dice. Feel what I'm doing. And the reason why I say practice like you play like you practice is not just a slogan. Look, let's be honest with ourselves. If you practice hour every hour, every hour, every hour at home, but you can't figure out how to transition that into the casino and make it work, something's wrong, right? If
Right.
if you roll 30 rolls at home, every time you touch the dice, you go to the casino and you roll three rolls numbers and then seven out every time, you're doing something wrong. Most of the time I can tell you what's wrong. You either have a hard top table where my cat can roll a 30 roll hand, and most of the casinos have semi bouncy to bouncy table. My table over here is a semi bounce. It's got two layouts and a layment underneath it. I got a Bally's layout underneath that you can't see, and I got the Mirage layout, and then there's a little protector underneath it. It is a bouncy table, but I learned how to toss on that table because I can toss on a hard top blindfolded. I mean, it doesn't take much to toss on a hard top. But if I can't take what I'm doing in practice and make it work in the casino, it's back to square one. And for the love of God, do not go to the casino and try and figure out what's not working and practice with your bankroll. If you want to do that, put a $10 pass line and practice the hell out of it. But don't you play like you usually play, for practice if it's not working, because that's a bankroll flush down the toilet.
All right. Okay. Want to remind the people, if you have a question, please put a capital Q in front of it, or maybe a couple letters like Gargoyle or G or something, so I can catch up. There's been a couple statements that have come through that is in the form of a question, but I'm missing them. El Toro's got a point here. I don't know if you can see this on your screen or not, Gargoyle. He says, "Do you mean to say DI is a skill set we have as an advantage player?" And I'm pretty sure I understand what he's saying, but in what you just said, that lifestyle makes that, if you're a DI, makes that an advantage player. Is that correct?
If you want to throw the dice, it doesn't hurt, right? You gotta. Yes, DI is a skill set that you can use as an advantage player. The answer is yes. Short answer is yes.
Have you ever played with El Toro that you know of?
No,
He doesn't know it.
I've never met him, but I've seen some of his comments on the other channel, and I think based on some of his comments, I think the guy knows what he's talking about.
Oh,
So when
no doubt in my
he's
mind.
asking that question, I don't know if there's something else behind it or not.
No doubt in my
El,
mind.
El Toro plays craps for a living, and it's not easy. I think it was
It's
Mad Dog that
oh
said
no,
it's a hard way to make an easy living, and I think El Toro would
it's
agree with
not.
that.
It is not easy to make a living playing craps. And if somebody is doing it on a regular basis, they need to be sitting here talking to the people, not me, because my hat's off to them.
Yeah, I mean, I know El Toro somewhat. I mean, I'm not gonna say we're like best buds or anything, but he's a quality guy. And when he was doing his channel a few years ago, he stopped. He went into retirement and never came out. I envy that. Um, he put out quality material, and he put out honest material. But he does go play for a living, and so I mean, that's how he makes his living. And I've talked to him many a time and about it. And one of these days, he and I are going to go, roast some bones together. But you know,
And if he has
Gargoyle
a
and
local
I,
casino,
well, I don't
go
know that
ahead,
he
Ed.
does. I don't know that he does. I know where he lives. I know where he plays. I don't know if you consider that local. I'm not even going to get into all that. But Gargoyle and I played together one time by accident. We didn't even know each other at the time, but we did play together at the Beau Rivage one morning. Me and him and Kelly, the guy who built my table, uh, we were all three on the table at the same time. That was the morning I was paying Kelly for my table. But
Yep.
we had good rolls, and Gargoyle came over and introduced himself. I knew who he was, but at the time I was like, okay, I don't know, I really don't know this guy, but I know who he is, and so, but I'm thankful that I've gotten to know him. I'm really, really thankful that I've gotten to know him, and I enjoy our conversations together, and we have similar thoughts, but we don't always have the exact same thoughts.
Yep. And I didn't recognize you. I recognized Kelly. I went over to say hi to him, and he's like, "Why don't you play?" I said, "Well, I don't know." He's like, "That's Ed." I said, "Ed, that's the roll to win guy over there." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know him, but yeah, I'll buy in and play." But I recognized Kelly. That's why I walked up to the table, because
Yeah,
I've been to
yeah.
his shop.
It was just totally by
He's
accident
been
that
to
we
my
even got
house.
to meet that morning. Yeah.
Yep. And then I
And
had to go
I
and
was
catch up
I
with
was
him.
out of position because I was shooting at one end and you were shooting it from the other end.
Yeah, yeah. That's because there was that one guy, sitting there, playing the don't and losing money. The guy couldn't figure
Yeah.
out that. It's like, dude, you keep playing, you keep playing the don't, and he
I
keeps
remember.
knocking you off. Get a grip. But yeah, and then I had to go catch a plane. So
Yeah, unfortunately, you were on the way out the door basically when we met.
yeah, yeah.
So pull up a question there, Jeff.
Yeah,
I didn't
well,
mean to interrupt. But go ahead,
no, no,
pull up
no.
a question.
This is good stuff. I'm going to go back for probably almost about 15 minutes ago. Matt Kenna asked a
I got
question
one
when
other
Gargoyle was
groundwater.
talking about money, that he has fun money and his serious money. And I don't know that you specifically answered it, but how much or what percentage of your bankroll is your fun money? It could just be like a one-word answer. We'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, it's not a percent. I just usually take $1,000 just to have fun. My bankroll is a lot, you know, a lot bigger than that.
All
So
right.
it's not a percent of my bankroll. It's just money I set aside to just have fun with.
So, like, if you went up to a table and you knew somebody like Ed was there, you just go up with that money and play for the fun of it, hoping that maybe one of the two of you get on a decent roll.
Correct. Yeah.
Yep. All right.
But if I once I've known him, if he and I are doing our thing, then no, it'll be betting with serious money. But yeah, when I walked up that day, I just played with my fun money on the way out and made some money.
the day that you met Ed, did he have his hat on? Was he wearing his hat?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
because he came to Atlantic City, and I had somebody come up to me and said, "I've been looking for this Ed Roll to Win guy, but I don't see anybody with a hat on." I said, "This is him right here. He's right. He was to my right. Ed didn't have his hat on." Anyway, all right, let's move on to another question. This comes from
So
Jonathan.
before you do that,
Sure.
did I answer El Toro's question? I mean, is he good? You can look at the chat.
I don't. Let's see what he says here. This was his next comment. The reason why I don't make a big deal about myself on the tables is because I'm not comfortable with folks betting beyond their bankroll. That is an excellent
That's a
point.
big problem. That's a
Oh,
big
it
problem
is.
for all of us, right?
They shouldn't. They shouldn't. And by the way, I'm going to add something to that. Your bankroll should be money that it's okay if you lose the whole thing.
Say that
Don't go
again.
to the casino, play with money you can't afford to lose. That
Okay,
includes your entire bankroll.
Yeah, yes, I understand. I thought you said
And a
something
lot of the
different than what you
people
said.
want to play beyond their bankroll, and you shouldn't do that. Money management. See, the eye is not one thing. It's a bunch of things put together. Money management is
Lifestyle.
one of them.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
I
Exactly.
learned that tonight. Let me put this question up here from John, and it's a kind of a long one, but I'll have to keep putting it up here because it's only going to stay up for 20 seconds. It's a two-part or three-part question. Do you believe that some tables are just seven makers? Like in some casinos, the tables just suck. Is that a thing? So he's asking, is that a real thing? And what are your triggers and things that you would make some on a side eye on a table? I'm not sure what that means, but do you believe that some tables
So
just suck regardless?
yes, yes, and I believe tables go through a up-down swing. At the end of the day, the math has to equal itself. I'm an honest believer in that. Now, a dice influencer can manage that somewhere in there because you are trying to influence the dice. But even on an empty table, I have telltales. Like if I walk up and the chips where the pit boss sits, if it's low, that means that the table has been paying out money. So it's either going to pay more or it's time for it to start taking. If I walk up to a table, empty table, and where the chips are, it's over full, it means that everybody's been buying in and losing money.
Right.
That's a telltale sign for me. Dice. Oh shit. Let's move on.
All right, we can move on. We've got some really good questions coming in, and I hope that I'll be able to get to all of them. We've got over 100 people between both channels currently watching us, and you're leading me 2-1 as normal. But guys, regardless of what channel you're on, Mid-Atlantic Craps or Roll to Win Craps, put a capital Q before it. Alfredo's actually got a really good point to make here, and I think that you've sort of said it, but let's talk about this question. Why explain DI as a lifestyle? DIs know this, how and why we do what we do. How do we continue in the community to explain to DI haters or that DI exists and serious players know who the real DIs are versus a good player? So why explain DI as a lifestyle, but we have these haters? I don't know if that question makes sense. It did to me when I first read it, but I read it wrong.
So keep that question up because I'm reading it, and Ed
Okay.
chime in here. But I'm going to tell you, most people that call themselves the eyes are not the eyes. I'm going to start with
That's
that,
100%.
right?
That's
And you have to
100%.
explain that to people, even the ones that call themselves DI, because they don't understand that it is a lifestyle. They don't understand that you have to invest time, you have to invest money, you have to invest a whole bunch of stuff, just like learning a skill set. I'm an IT guy. I'm more than an IT guy, but I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm an IT guy. If I'm going to learn a certain program so that I can write code, I have to invest time in learning it. I have to invest time in getting certified in it. And I have to invest time in getting experience so that at some point I can gain 2, 3 years experience and then move up and somebody pays me more money because of my experience. Same thing with DI. You got to invest time, money, and everything in it. You can't toss into a cardboard box and call yourself a DI.
Yeah,
The
I
only thing
struggle
you're
talk.
doing is you're just practicing your landing zone. But it's more about the landing zone. A true DI that has an advantage strive to have his dice land, hit the back wall, and come back 1 or 2 rotations, and that's it. Any more, the more scatter, what you want to call, the more random. And I see these videos of
That's
people
true.
just saying, "Oh, I'm a DI," and they get in there, and then the whole dice goes blop 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 all over the place, and say, "See, I hit my face number.
Yeah.
You got
It's like
lucky,
Cage.
dude."
It's like
Everybody gets
Cage.
lucky.
I'm going to quote. I'm going to quote Cage on that because he says, you die scatter like two escaped convicts. I mean, that's what it's like, and that's not DI.
Nope, that
You're
that is
trying
true.
to influence, and let me put it this way: setting the sevens and throwing the dice real hard against the back wall to break the sevens. That's not DI. All right.
No.
Look, no shooter unless you want to play the dome. No shooter goes up to the table and wants to hit a seven. They're all trying to avoid the seven. They all don't want to get on a hot roll and go big. But that doesn't mean that you're a dice influencer. DI is a lifestyle. It's a repetitive, and you have to explain it to people. You have to explain it to people that call themselves DIs because they're not.
Nope.
And I will prove them wrong every day of the week and twice on the weekend because I will outshoot anybody that's shooting in a cardboard box. But yet you see them out there. They have videos. I've seen videos. People
Oh yeah.
shooting in a cardboard box and saying, and they can't even afford a craps layout or something. They're drawing with crayons. The stupid thing. I mean, come on. You know, you got
No
instructors that
filter.
are taking money. You got instructors that are taking money and calling themselves the best shooters in the world, and they walk up to the table and play at $12 six and eight. What the freak?
You can say it.
I'm gonna let Ed
Oh
say it. But I mean,
well.
there's nothing wrong with playing at $12 six and eight, by the way. But don't brag and have people come in and pay you a lot of money to teach them how to throw the dice and then walk up to the table and play at $12 six and eight. And oh, by the way, you play it for two hits and then you're off for three couple of hits and then you turn it back on. And come on, I mean, Either we're gonna be honest with ourselves, or we're just fucking around. And
No, exactly.
every person has to look themselves in the mirror. And if they're lying and they're sleeping well every night, hey, more power to you. But at the end of the day, every person knows what they're doing. So yes, you have to explain it to other people what it means, because they don't know.
Ed, do you want to add anything to this topic about why you have to explain DI? And real quick, El
Hey
Toro
man, I'm
said,
having a great time just listening to somebody I hadn't got.
yeah,
I,
that's all right.
I don't have to. I don't have to be an asshole tonight because he's doing it for me. But no, really. I mean,
I'm the designated asshole.
well, you said you were butthead. I'm just the mutt. Um, you know, lifestyle. Yes, I believe that 100%. He's 100% correct. Um, Hours and hours and hours of practice. That's what I do. That's what he has done. He's better at it than I am. I don't have any problem admitting that. I'll give him my spot at the table any day. All right. So the other thing you've got to figure, and I used to always look at it from a business perspective. When I put money on the table, all right, I'm not really making a bet. The casino is going to call it a bet. I'm making an investment. Okay. I'm making a business investment on the next roll, and the next roll after that, and the next roll after that. So it is a business investment, and you've got to frame your mind into that business mentality. I believe. For me, it works. Remember, I'm so old, I invented the iron cross, right? John said the other day, if you're a good DI, why don't you just bet the come bet all the time and do max odds? That's not a bad strategy. You know why, John? I used to do that a lot. Now I didn't do max odds, but when I started in this thing in the early '90s, I would do a come bet until I had a 5, 6, and 8 covered. I wouldn't bet anything else other than my pass line bet and odds. I would do a come bet hoping to get a 5, 6, and 8. Once I got a 5, 6, and 8 covered, then I went straight to the field. That wasn't really smart because I was still learning the process. But it is a business, and you got to treat it as a business. You're making an investment into the outcome. You're looking for a return. God, I hate to quote, I ain't going to say his name. Return on investment. You're looking for a return on your investment. Right? So that's what we as DIs we want. That's why we get so aggravated. That's why we get so frustrated when we see bullshit on YouTube about betting systems on random tossing, right? I mean, why in the hell would you bet 640 across on somebody you've never seen shoot before? That's just freaking stupid. From a business perspective, that's a bad investment, right?
Yep.
So, I don't know if that makes any sense to you, Jeff, Gargoyle, but that's kind of the way I feel about it. I'm kind of venting based on my bourbon level at the moment.
It is a business. I've called it a business before. I wish my friend that I go out and play with a lot, was on the chat. He would tell you, this is a business. I want to increase my bankroll and be able to bet more the way it allows it. El Toro put something out there earlier, just a few seconds ago, and I agree with him 100%. People call themselves DI, and like I said earlier, they can throw 3 rolls, 4 rolls, 5 rolls, hell 15 rolls at any given day. Okay, then go up there and put 640 across. Why are you afraid? Oh, that's a lot of money on the table. That's a lot of money in play on the table. But you're a DI. I I've walked up and put 540, 640 across because I know I can manage that. And if I lose it, I can manage that with my bankroll. I'm not afraid to put money and press. If you are a true DI, there's no fear in betting and playing your game.
The shooter's mentality is so critical, and that's the stuff between your ears. The mentality of being a shooter
Cracks between
is
your
more important. It's one of the most important things that we have going for you if you're a DI. Doesn't mean we don't screw up. Doesn't mean we don't have a bad toss, but we have a mentality about the way we play.
and I saw somebody mention as long as the casinos think it doesn't exist. Casinos, they know there's something out there, right? They know there's something out there. But I can tell you, when I used to go before COVID, when I used to frequent Vegas and play my my morning play, the dealers knew me. They knew who I was because I played there all the time. They knew my name. They knew my playing style. They knew my betting, and they knew my tipping. And the pit boss knew me by name, and he knew that he doesn't have to tell me to hit the back wall because I always hit the back wall unless something drastic happens. And then he just laughs and says, "Okay, roll again." Because most, you know, if you're not hitting the back wall, you're not really, you're supposed to hit the back wall. Let me put it that way. So they weren't worried about me putting a lot of money on there. And I have a rule. I always tip the dealers big, and if I hit a bonus, they get 25% of the bonus. I've hit the
Nice.
ATS for 20,000, and they've gotten 25% of that.
Wow. Wow. Nice tip.
And dealers know that. And when dealers know you by name, they know your play, they know your betting, and they don't have to figure out what you're trying to do. They appreciate that. They want you to come. They want you to make money because they're making money. And as long as you don't piss off the pit boss by doing something, that they don't want you to do, you're good. You're
Well, we
golden.
happen to have a pit boss with us, and this is the guy known as God Complex. But he makes a good point here too. He says your return on the investment is what craps is, and he's a pit boss.
Hello,
So, yeah.
God Complex.
Yep. So let me see. He's got another something he just came in here
You
too.
know, most
While we're
most
stopping.
pit bosses most pit bosses are really nice people. I mean, I know that we as craps players, we want to bitch about them sometimes. We want to. He's pointing. Remember that
I'm
creating
pointing.
the
He is
atmosphere and good
absolutely
energy for our
100% right. And
like
that's
a game
exactly
pro
the
and like
atmosphere. That's the atmosphere that I gamered with the pit boss. Most of my
yeah.
layouts that I gotten were from pit bosses because they would call and call somebody and say, "Hey, do you have a layout for my, I need a layout or something like that," and they would bring it down. And I sometimes would say, can I bet the bonus for my pit boss for the pit boss? Dealers, you can bet from dealers. And sometimes they would say, yeah, if you want to bet for me, sure. And they like it because they're usually not in the game. And when you get them in the game,
Yep.
they like that.
Yep.
They
And
love
again,
being in the game.
and again,
They love being
again,
in the game.
be nice and respect the table, the dealers and the pit boss, and you get respect back. Treat them as you want to get treated. Nine times out
They
of every now
they
and
have
then
a
you get
job.
somebody that's every now and
Yeah.
then you get
They've got
somebody
a job.
that's just
They got a job to
yeah.
do. They got the eye in the sky. They got the telephone ringing. They got all that other shit going on. They got a job to do, and they're going to do their job, and I respect that. But you know what? When you have a pit boss come up to you when you're buying into the table for the first time in the morning, and he goes, "I really appreciate how you take care of my crew. I really do." That that
Yeah.
gets you so much positivity on the table before you've even touched the dice. It's incredible. It's
And
incredible.
look, positive energy is huge at the table. Negative energy at the table is a bankroll killer. If you're ever at the table and all of a sudden argument starts to happen, or something like that, color up and leave. That table is gone to shit for a while. It's going to be impossible to get it back up. Or if you want to play the don'ts on it, I don't like. I'm not a don't player. I'm going to come out and say it. I'm not a don't player. If somebody's playing the don'ts, I don't buy into that table. I just that's not my game. Others, they don't care. They play, they play both sides of the fence. I'm not ACDC. I play positive, only. But negative energy is a table killer. Positive energy, when people are having fun, there's something about that just kind of gets the money rolling on the table.
I
Um,
agree. And Kevin posted something up that you missed. It was right before El Toro's. He says some so-called, and I'm going to put quotes around that, so-called DIs just suck, no matter how much they practice, and that's true. Okay, I mean because they're so-called. Now it takes hand-eye coordination. It takes a lot of different things in addition to practicing. But if you're practicing bad habits out there, folks, you're just going to take bad habits to the table, and you need to get those bad habits corrected. Or you need to learn how to play your slice if you're a golfer, or play your hook. I mean, you've got to learn how to play it if you can toss it. But not everybody can toss it. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen overnight. You can go to a class, you can take a weekend class, and you know what? It's going to be 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks later before the light bulb goes off on what you learned in that class. But you've
Yep.
got to continuously practice it. It's not
And
an
I know
overnight
people
fix.
don't like to talk about people taking classes, and I know there are a lot of people out there taking advantage. They teaching classes and they're not teaching the right thing. I myself, based on my experiences only, there are only two people that I vouch for because I've known these two people personally, and I know if you take a class with them, you're not going to get screwed. You're going to get knowledge out of them. Um, Not saying that others out there are snake oil salesmen. I don't know. I have not had the interaction with them. But I know there are a lot of people that are snake oil salesmen and take advantage of that. But if you have the money and you can afford it and you want to go take a class, it's your money. You can do whatever you want to do with it. Go. I encourage it, but take it from the right person. Does Gargoyle take
Yeah.
disciples and or students? I've had people come over. I've had people call me on the phone. I've never taken a dime, ever, 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 and I'll never will, because if you take what I've shown you and talk to you about and go make money, that's awesome. If you go and lose, you can't say I wasted money on Gargle. You can say I wasted time, but I didn't waste money. So I don't charge anybody, but you know I've I don't have like regular people come in. I have to know you before you come over. It took several times before Cage came over, um, but I knew him from a long, long time. But it didn't take him long. It's not because I needed to know him to come over. It's because I kept on telling him to come over, and he wouldn't show up until finally he said, "Yeah, I'm coming. I'm showing up." But um, I've had people come over, yes, but no, I don't have students or something like that. But I'm always willing to help out. I'm always willing to help out. But if I always encourage the person to go take a class, learn the basics and stuff like that, and then go 6 weeks and then come back with this is not working and we can work on what's not working instead of showing you things all over and then your mind is all jumbled up. So that's one of my not rules, but that's one of my advice if somebody needs help from me. Go get the basics from someone and then I'll help you with whatever you need.
we have a lot of questions here. I don't want to cut you off because I enjoyed listening to
Keep going.
Gargoyle talk, and like Ed said, just sitting here listening is enjoyable to me. I hope the audience is enjoying it. Well over 110 people currently watching on 2 channels. I've got a couple questions and we'll bounce back and forth that I want to touch on. But here's a question from a subscriber, both Ed's and mine. Mel comes up here. He wants to know, Ed and Gargoyle, you both recant stories of throwing with heavy, and he would assign shooting positions on the table for you. During those sessions, were you all pulling your bankrolls as team playing? And I'd like to concentrate on that team playing portion of the question, but can either one of you comment on that? And that question, by the way, came almost 40 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. No, we weren't pulling money and team playing.
Okay. All right. I'm just.
I'll reiterate that. Now, we play as a group. We play. Sometimes we'll call 5 or 6 of us together, and hey, let's go to X, and all of us will go to X and play. Now, we all take our own bankroll. We all bet our own bankroll the way we want to bet it. The first part of that question was recanting where, like heavy assigning positions. That's critical. That's critical if you've got a group of guys that are playing. Because you know what? There's only one stick left, one. There's only one stick left, two. There's only one stick right, one. There's only one stick right, two. And as good as I thought I was, quotes around as thought I wasn't the best stick left, one shooter on the table. So Heavy would say, Ed, you're going down there to the hook. So you know what? I had to learn how to shoot from the hook. And I learned to shoot as well from the hook as most of the guys could shoot from stick left, one or two, or stick right, one or two. And that's not an easy thing to do, but I practiced it. I practiced it over and over and over because I knew that's where my assignment was going to be. We had guys, dude, Jeff, we have guys from straight out. People talk about, well, that's too far. I know guys that use the same set from straight out. And all they do to change the numbers they want is vary the spin. All they do is, they can vary the spin on the same set from straight out and throw numbers. Right? I can't do that. I'm not that talented. I realize that. But those guys are good at it, and I'm going to bet on their asses every time they throw the ball, every time they throw the dice. And I know what they're going to hit. I know what they're trying to hit. And if you don't know what the DI can do, follow him. Like Doza said in the last interview for season 1, follow the shooter who thinks he knows what he's doing. If you've got confidence in the shooter, follow his betting strategy on himself because he knows what his advantage is. And he's trying to play to his advantage. You might as well take advantage of that, right? Just follow him.
And Jeff, some of the comments were coming in. Some of the comments were coming in. So real quick, practice doesn't make you perfect, but it improves the imperfections.
Correct. And I think that's what Waylon was trying to say.
Yes.
And
somebody mentioned dice coach and somebody mentioned heavy. Those are probably the only two that I say, because I know them and I played with them. Those are the only two that I would say, they're not going to rob you from money. They're going to actually give you some your money's worth as far as helping you with your DI journey.
Yeah, actually, I had a question on my side of the that actually asked that question. Who would you recommend? But I can't find it right at the moment.
Heavy and dice coach are, and I'm not trying, and I don't make money, by advertising for them, but that those are the only two that I know right now. Not that anybody else is not good. Those are the only two.
They are both excellent. They are both excellent. There's no question about it. I've only taken classes in the past from Heavy. I know Coach and I know his reputation, and that I will tell you that the best grip, I'm talking about grip only now, the best grip coach I've ever had and experienced with was Darth Nader. Now, he'll be at the table with you and he will tell you after your toss is over what you need to adjust your grip. I mean, he's watching your grip only. So he's one of the best grip guys I've ever seen. Now he's not really an active coach right now because hey, he's older than I am and he's a brand new dad. But um, he's
That's
coached with
pretty cool.
heavy, for example. But he was a great grip person. So not every coach has every aspect of the game that you may want. But if they're teaching in unison, then even so much better, right?
Right. All right. You ready to move on to a couple more questions?
Sure,
Sort
go
of,
ahead.
Let's do
sort
it.
of related to staying with the DI. Go ahead, Gargoyle. You got something else you were going to say?
No, I said let's do it.
All right, I always like to throw in a sarcastic question. So here you go from a good friend Ted over at Toothbrush Productions. Is a question for Ed. Practice like you play like you practice. Do you drink when you play at the casino? Joking, but not joking. I know the answer to that, but Ed, tell us, why you don't drink when you play.
Well, I mean, you don't want to be playing under the influence. Um, you will see me order a bourbon and coke or something like that, so that's a weak drink, and you will also always see me order water at the same time. And most of the time, I end up drinking the water. Early on in my career, you'd be nervous. You'd pick up the dice and your hands be almost shaking because you're just kind of scared at first and that kind of thing. So sometimes in those cases, a drink might settle your nerves just a little bit, but you do not want to drink while you're playing because it will affect the real advantage you have, which is the stuff between your ears. Is how you play. It will affect it. And so Waylon's correct right there. You've got to practice your betting. That's what I talk about when I say practice like you play. You, my betting doesn't change. The only thing that changes is which numbers I'm betting on, because that's the numbers I'm hitting versus the number. Am I hitting the numbers I'm expecting, or am I getting a different result but it's consistent? Am I looking for nines and I'm getting fives? I really don't care as long as I can recognize that I'm not getting my nines and I'm getting my fives. I can bet the fives just as hard and heavy as I can bet any other number. So you've got to understand what how to read your toss and the results you're getting in any particular hand that you're tossing.
Okay. All right. Question from Lou, all the way from New Jersey for Gargoyle. What is your prime shooting position?
Stick left or stick right. One stick left 1.5 or stick right 1.5. And I shoot lefty from stick left and righty from stick right.
Okay.
So we got a
Yes.
switch hitter. Practice that, folks.
Always good to have on
Practice
a
throwing with
team.
both hands. So Gargoyle will throw with either hand.
Oh, wow. Wish I could. No, I can't do it. Guys, I see some more chats coming in. Put a capital Q before it. There's so many questions here. I want to go back almost again a half hour ago. This comes from Kevin M. We're going to move on. If you have a traditional par toss, what's the best approach when tossing on the newer microfiber layouts where sharp dice tend to snag on the material and not roll well?
On the microfiber, I've known it to snag on felt.
Felt, yep.
On the microfiber, it's just a little bit bouncier, but usually lower the angle and soft toss to the back wall. If you get it too close to the back wall, it's going to bounce back with a lot of splatter. But usually, if it's a bounce, if it the bouncier the table, the lower the toss should be, and lower the velocity. Um, I don't think I'm trying to remember if I if I had a, the only brand new dice snag I've had was back in the old felt layouts.
That guy right there, Kevin M., the best straight out shooter you're ever going to see in your life. Played with him many times. Go back to the previous question though. What was the question that he was answering? But I just had to catch that because Kevin M. I'm telling you guys, I know this guy personally, and I
This would
played with him
be this
many,
question
many
right
times.
here. Ed, it was so long ago, I don't know if I'm going to be able to. This is a par question. There you go.
Yeah,
Microfiber.
you know, in the old days, on a felt table, they used to talk about a 45-degree launch. So you would kind of have this 45-degree up and a 45-degree down. There's two things that are critical now on microfiber. Number one, you do not want to use that 45-degree toss. You want to use a lower angle, somewhere in the 30, 33-degree range, I think is adequate, which gets you just about rail high, 1 or 2 inches above the rail, more or less, right? And the other thing is you've got to learn how to get your dice to land flat the majority of the time. The flatter they lay, the less the layout's got anything to do with it. Sharp dice, dull dice, microfiber, or old traditional felt, which is few and far between now because everybody wants colorful layouts. If it's a colorful layout, it's not a traditional felt, it's a microfiber.
That
And for the microfiber layouts, another thing to watch for when you go up to the table, if it's stretched to the limit, like literally you can see the the boxes kind of wiggly because it's stretched to the limit, it's going to be bouncy.
Yep.
Traditional layouts, the stretchier they get, the bouncier they are. If you see some wrinkles in it, that means it's not stretched. It means it's settled. It's not gonna be that bouncy. Now, the underlayment underneath it, could make it bouncier. But if it's a traditional, whatever they put underneath it and just the layout, if it's stretched really bad, it's gonna be bouncy.
Yep. Yeah, the tighter it's pulled, the more balanced there's going to be.
okay. Here's a question from Jalapon. It says for the panel, if one does have a DI advantage, or say a 9 SOR on average, how do you get focused enough to bypass the psychology of shooting and mental nerves of pressing bets even higher? And I don't know if he met the 7 out ratio. I think the 7 roll ratio is more important, but I'll let you guys answer the question. I'll put it back up there.
Mental nerves of pressing bets higher. It don't matter what your SRR is or your SOR is. SOR is bullshit. Anybody who calculates their SOR just wants to feel good. You need to know how many rolls you're going to have between sevens. Come out sevens, extend your roll. That's a great thing. It might kill the ATS, but it extends your roll. In his case, another 9 tosses, right? Now, an SRR of 9 is extremely high, extremely high. Most people don't even come close. Um, how do you overcome the mental stress of betting higher or pressing your bets higher? You got to practice it so that it's just nomenclature. Now, I'm not talking about betting on random people or people you don't know. I'm talking about what you can do, and you're betting on yourself here. That's the whole aggravation of this YouTube bullshit that's out there. As a DI, we don't care what the random guy does, and we're not going to bet stupid on the random guy. We're going to bet on ourselves. We're going to bet on another known, respected shooter. All right, so you practice you practice your progressions so that they're natural, right? That's part of betting is part of practicing like you play and playing like you practice. If you want to take that 180 to 420, you got to drop $30 and you just drop $30 and you go to 420 on that 6 or 8 and you got your $10 already slid out in your rack so you can drop it when they're going to pay you 500 for 10. I mean, it's
Okay.
you got to become natural.
All right. You have any input on that, Gargoyle?
Uh, yeah, I don't know what my SRR is, and I don't care. To be honest with you, I know a lot of people, try to figure it out in Bone Tracker and stuff like that. Nothing against Bone Tracker. I think some people find it useful, and I'm not gonna, you know, say anything bad about Bone Tracker. But if somebody puts in their stuff in Bone Tracker and it says on their craps table and it says that they get a 9 SRR or whatever, unless the casino allows you to take that craps table and put it in the casino and put real money on it and play, it doesn't mean shit. All right. As far as playing, having nerves to play with high money, um, I have, and you've seen my craps table. I have it. I have set up just like a casino, with low denomination and high denomination, and I practice with those high denomination chips so that my mind can get used to seeing black chips, purple chips, yellow chips at the table. And the more I practice to seeing it, when I go to the casino and I put it out there, it's just like at my practice table. It doesn't scare me because, oh my God, now I paid my money. That's why the casinos take money and give you chips, because if they allow you to put real money as betting, nobody would play craps, because when they see two, $300, $400, they're like, oh my God, but chips are chips, right? But they have denominations. The way I get over it is that I do it at home and I get used to seeing it, and so when I see it in the casino, it doesn't scare me.
All right.
That's practicing like you play right there.
Yep. We have. I want to remind everybody. I see a lot of comments coming in. There's a lot of questions. I'm trying to get them grouped into a topic or a subject and stay on the line. I know a lot of them have questions for you, Gargoyle, about history and playing, getting to where you are. But I want to stay focused on what we're doing right now. Here's the pit boss that says, question: do you guys see patterns? Example: a lot of outside numbers on a table seem to be rolling. Do you play that pattern? Tables seem to have patterns of that day. And I know this was a topic on another show where people didn't believe that you could actually see a pattern. And here's a dealer turned pit boss that says that patterns happen. Any comments on from you guys?
Oh, not yes, but hell yes. Look, let's not talk crafts for a little bit. Let's talk real life and work. And some of you in the IT know that there are people getting paid hundreds and thousands of dollars every year to sit around and look patterns of customers so that that company can market to their customer better. Same thing at the table. Dice has patterns, and if you can see it and catch it while it's happening, you can make a lot of money.
Wow. I mean,
Patterns do happen,
yes.
especially with somebody who's doing influence, who knows influence, and that's really, as a dice influencer, that's what you want. You want to see the patterns. You want to see 14 sixes, right? I mean, you want to see that, right? Or you want to see 9 fives, whatever the number is. You don't care if you only hit 110 and 1 4, or maybe you just threw 14 fours. But whatever the number is, you just want to see those patterns repeat, because that means your own and your dice are reacting to your toss at that point in time. And so I
Okay.
agree with God complex, or I will agree with Gargoyle and saying not just yes, but hell yes, patterns exist, and you need to have the wherewithal to bet that pattern when you see it,
Got to have the gazentas. You got to have them.
because it doesn't happen every time.
Oh, but rarely. But yes. Yeah, but there's a guy that, probably works a 8, 10, 12-hour shift that sees those patterns develop from time to time. And if you play long enough, you see those things.
Well, I mean, he's got a different perspective, and then he gets to see everybody and and he will probably would tell you that most people are ahead at some point in time, but still leave a loser.
There's a comment in
And
here
that's
for a question
stupid.
about that.
That's stupid. To
Yep.
if you're up, why would you leave a loser? Because you don't have a
Correct.
bet, or you don't have enough self discipline to leave the table a winner, or you're greedy.
All right. This question comes from Matt Kenna again. A question on a DI. What SRR should we strive for during practice? What are your current SRRs, and how long did you practice to track those results before you reached that level of proficiency? That's one of those interviewers that's probably at one of those White House things. They ask 5 questions in one. But anyway, Mac, well, we'll see what our panel says here. We'll see what Gargoyle Ed has to say about that.
Go ahead, Gargoyle.
Um, I don't know what my SRR is, and honestly, I don't care. That's what I practice and strive for. I practice and strive for my dice landing a certain way, hitting the back wall a certain way, and coming back with fewer evolutions as possible. And if I can repeat that in a casino, then I'm going to have a long roll and make money. That's what experience tells you. Do we PSO 7 out? Of course we do. But I don't know. I can't answer that question because I don't know, and I don't usually care what my SRR is. It doesn't. That's not how I play my game as a DI.
All right, Ed.
I do track my SRR just because I use a lot of Bone Tracker at times. Um, Current SRR on my home table, which is not casino, right? It's going to be well over 8. Sometimes it approaches 9. Sometimes my goal, I'll tell you what my goal is I want an SRR of 10, but I can't get there yet. I can't get that high. That's a high number. I know guys that have those because they got a really sweet toss. Um, I think it's more important to be able to take advantage of what you know. Number one, am I getting the numbers I'm expecting? If I'm throwing a particular set and my toss is on, am I getting the numbers I expect? If I am, lights out. If I'm not getting what I expect, but I'm comfortable with the same set, am I smart enough to realize I need to change my betting pattern to hit the numbers that I'm getting versus what I expect? And quite frankly, I don't care if I'm getting 4s instead of 9s or I'm getting 5s instead of 10s, as long as I'm capable of recognizing the fact that that's what I'm getting. I only want, you know, I really, it gets down to the point where you really should have like 2 numbers that are really hot if you're having a decent roll. They're repeating. That's what I mean by getting hot. If you've got 2 numbers that are repeating a lot, and you've got a couple of others scattered, then those others don't really. You don't even need to have money on those. You need to have money on the ones that you're repeating, right? So if you're repeating a 5 and a 6, I don't need a lot of money on a 9 or a 10 or a 4 or any money on those because I'm really pounding 5s and 6s. That's where the advantage play comes in because you've got the smarts to realize it on the table at the moment. My opinion.
Okay. Anything to add to
I
that,
saw a
Gargoyle?
comment from Mario. He said that VDC likes patterns. I hope he's talking about Vegas Dice Controller, and if
He
so,
is.
I
He
agree with
is.
him. I've been at the table with VDC. He has a system that takes advantage. Yes, he takes advantage of trends. VDC is a very nice guy. I met him. We ate together, and he has a very very beautiful toss. He's the one of it was the helicopter shot, but he has also another toss. But he has a system, and his toss creates patterns. And he warned me about it one time before we went and played, and I saw it and I took advantage of it, and he made me some good money. I still say thank you, BDC, if he's ever watching this. Thank you again for that.
All right. I'm looking up. I've got to scroll back and forth between the questions here, guys. I'm trying to host the best I can. I'll put another comment up there.
You're doing a good job there, Jeff.
I tell you, it's getting there. And hello to Clay. He's talking about the trends there as well. Let me see what this next one that follows up with what God Complex says. I'm trying to put them all together, and I think that he's right with the last couple of things that he's kind of he's agreeing with what you two are saying. Here's a question from Dustin for Gargoyle. As a shooter's hand, what is the most you have left on the felt, and did you ever recover?
Ooh.
Maybe you might not want to say.
No, that's okay. So the most I've left on the felt was at the Bellagio, and I was at max bet on most of the numbers.
Wow, the Bellagio.
It was at least $35,000, but that's because I was having the roll of a long roll, and I don't know if I told the story or not, but I only needed one part of each, ATS sites to hit it, and I had 200 on each, but I had a long roll, and I made several $1,000s, and it started with started with 540 across, and I had reached max bet 5,000 on several numbers. And right in the middle of my toss, a waitress came in and moved me to the side to clean a clean ashtray. The ashtray was clean. I mean, everybody could see it. And it sevened out, and it was a big fuss, and that ended that roll. But it was at least over $20,000.
Well,
but I didn't bet it from the start. I built it up. But yeah, I've left. There are certain times where I do regress, but most of the time, if I made my money, I'm there to use my DI skills to make more money. What's
okay?
The most money you won in one session?
And then he also says, please share the story. That's Brian from the Why Crap Shooters.
Yeah. I know one time we won a lot of money because we were a group at the Stratosphere, but the most I've won was at the Bellagio. And I had 200 on the ATS, and I hit it. And that was about 40 grand plus whatever I took. It was almost 55 something. 55, 60 something.
Wow.
But that's most of it because I hit the bonus.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, but what did he have on the bonus? 200.
Wow.
Woo!
Yes. I'm not afraid to play the ATS. I am not afraid to play the ATS on myself or on somebody that I know is a good shooter.
You know what? I played craps week and a half ago, and I left one number hanging 5 times in that weekend. Left one freaking number hanging 5 different times in 24 hours.
Well, that's why you're not a DI. If you were a true DI, you would know how to set the dice.
All right, true DI, I would have just knocked it out. You're right. You're 100% right.
Swing!
Hell, all I knew was
you. I was just messing with you. Never change your set in the middle of a hot roll. Never change your set in the middle
Well,
of a
you
hot
know,
roll.
I will change my set. I don't mind changing my set,
I don't.
but I used to not want to. I used to only want to try to snipe it on a come out or something like that. You know, screw that. I mean, really and truly, if you're going to play the bonus and you're going to be a DI, you need to try to hit it in about 15 or 16 rolls. If you can't hit it in 15 or 16 rolls, you're probably not. You're probably going to have a 30 roller and still leave one hanging. And I did that a lot. I mean, it
or
just
have to
Yeah.
happens. I mean, sometimes.
or have to reset
I
it.
mean, I left fours hanging. I left fives hanging. I never left a two hanging. I never left a 12 hanging. I think I left 11 one time hanging. But for the most part, I left the easy numbers, and I couldn't hit the freaking things. You know what? I was playing a crapless table, and so I hit a few more extra twos and 12s or something. So I didn't really care.
There's a witness. There's a witness. Yes, it
There's
was
Cage.
back
He's
in
a witness.
2017, and Cashier has a picture of it he can show you of the ATS.
So I hadn't won that much money. I think
I
the
didn't
most
want to
I've
say
ever
it, but
won.
I knew I sent a picture of the ATS, but not of the entire, winning over that. But when I hit it and they passed me the chips, I took a picture. I knew I said it. Anyway, sorry, Ed.
I think the most I've ever won is like 18,000 in a hand myself. Not near as high as Gargoyles.
I have not. We had a question that Arnell asked, and I'm going to cross post it because it was on two channels. So he had a question for Guy Complex, who's answered it on my side for the pitballs here. Since casinos allow us to track rolls with pen and paper, why not use the phone to track our phones? And he says you can use your phone to track as long as you don't bring the phone over the layout. We don't care. We don't want phones dangling over the table. I did not know that because anytime you have your phone out, they typically tell you you gotta move back, put it away.
You
At
know,
least
it seems I have no idea where God Complex is at. I have absolutely no idea, but I know where I'm at. They don't care if you got your phone out as long as it's away from the table and or maybe you're turned around to the side or turned back real quick. But I really think it's kind of a local casino discretion. You know,
They don't want you talking on the phone at the table because it's disrespectful to other players. If you step away, like take one or two steps, you can talk on the phone. But if you're at the table, they honestly, and I'm glad they do that. It's disrespectful to other players. They have to listen to your conversation on the phone. So that's why they don't want you on the phone. But also, nothing should, if you're not the shooter, nothing should be hanging over the rail of where you are. It doesn't matter if the dice coming to you or not. Your hands, your pen, nothing, unless you're the shooter and your hands going over, because you don't know that the dice get disrupted. So table etiquette,
I
table
think it's
etiquette.
kind of a local. I think
yeah.
it's kind of an individual casino rule, so to speak. It's just like people that take pictures or videos of some win they've got on a slot machine. Some of them don't care. Some of them will come up if they see you. They'll come up and say, you need to put it up. No video allowed or something. They've all got their own rules. But it is a modern world, and everybody's got a cell phone.
All right. Yeah, Arnell just says that he wants to track. He doesn't want to use his phone, but the device, is can do so much that they can't tell whether the camera's on or off. I took a picture at my local of an ATS hit, and the box lady, we won't describe her. Clay knows who I'm talking about here. She got mad and she told me to delete it, and I just put the phone in my pocket. Security came over and watched me delete it out of the pictures. But as anybody knows, just because you delete it out of the picture on your gallery, it's still in the trash pile, and you can bring that
Still in the
back
trash
out.
can. Yeah.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
wound up on a video I did. So I mean, I guess it is. It's all dependent upon the local aspect of it. I know
I always ask. I always ask, and usually they say as long as you don't get anybody's faces, but like dealers and other people, we don't mind. But I always ask. I never just take out and take a picture, and I've never been told no. I've been asked not to take pictures like Memo did. He took pictures of everybody, for my fire dog. But when the ones that I shared, the ones that I have, I've asked and I never taken pictures of people's faces, and I would show it to the pit boss, and she would say yes, okay.
Do I need to bring those pictures up?
No, that's
No.
okay. Any other questions, Jeff? Do we have any haters out there tonight?
No, there's no
Any
haters, but
non-DI believers?
we've got questions all over the realm here. I was trying to go back and get some personal questions about you, and I'm going to work backwards from here. So this is from the Pitballs. He wants to know: do you guys have any value to a player who rolls the dice backwards so they see a certain outcome? I can't stand it. They're schooling the dice. I can't stand it. I don't just pick two damn dice and do whatever you're gonna do.
Yeah. Look. So this is if I come to an empty table, I don't school the dice. I just take the dice and roll it. If you are playing with other people, just watch the dice for a while and see what they're doing. And if you don't like what you see, keep moving. Schooling the dice doesn't tell you anything. I mean, what is it going to tell you? Short answer is that's bullshit.
All right, I'm going to skip the question about the strategy. We've already talked about that. Here's a good question from Ben. This is Wisco 330 inside. He says, "What's been the most influential in your who's been the most influential in your craps journey?"
Ooh, I've got several people, but it started with heavy.
Okay.
It started with heavy. I was losing money left and right, hundreds of thousands, over $100,000 a year, playing like I'm a DI. I built something and I'm practicing table and stuff. Didn't know what the hell I was doing. He showed me how to play the game the right way. Both Dice Coach came along and helped me out, and I I saw the man with the 1,001 tosses. He taught me some stuff. I learned stuff from him. Um, yeah, those were some of the most influential. But I gotta go to where it started. Um, heavy is the one that started it all, and he's the one that I would go and him and Dice Coach, I would go not just for dice stuff, but for life matters because we're very very close friends. And now I got my partner in crime down on the left screen. I don't know where he is on your screen. Uh,
It's always backwards. Today I can just go like
yeah,
this because I know he's down there. Like you're
yeah, I
you're
go
that
like
way.
this.
Yeah.
No, wait,
See,
I'm this way.
yeah. My screen is actually you're that way, but I got to do stage right, stage left. I always get it screwed up.
It's like the old XOXO game. Remember
Yep.
where the
Yep.
celebrities are sitting? Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Here's a question from my friend in Jersey, Ted Berry, who you may know, don't know. He says, speaking of a layout, this goes back in some time ago when Ted came on. I don't know that he's still here. He may get the answer here. Is that you showed, last show I saw you, you had a Trump Taj Mahal felt. You mentioned that you may sell it. Is that one still available for sale? Because Ted actually has picked up a table from the Taj.
Oh, so I think that's a brand new layout. So it's kind of going home. I mean, if I do it, I mean it's not it's gonna go for a pretty penny. I mean this thing is
Money means nothing to Ted. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
yeah. I mean we'll probably have to take this offline.
Downgraded.
But if it's going home and it's gonna stay, at that table, and he's going to, I'm always look. if people are interested in any of the layouts, I'm always considerate if I know what they're going to do with it and it's not going to end up on eBay being resold. Um, but um, but the answer is yes. It's just a matter of how much. Last time I've priced that layout from a someone that knows what they're talking about, because I have other memorabilia here. Um, it was over 5 grand, and I'm talking about at least 4 or 5 years ago. But we can take this offline.
Okay. I mean, I can put you in contact with Ted. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Follow up to what God said about God Complex said about the spooling. This is interesting that they've actually banned players after warning them more than once about burning the dice or cupping the dice or schooling the dice. That's interesting. I've never even seen a player be warned for that. I'm just rolling my eyes like, oh my God, how many more times are you going to roll the frickin' dice against the wall before you pick two of them up?
I've seen players being warned not to burn the dice. You know what dice burning is?
Dice
So
burning.
they take two dice, they put it on the layout, and they go like this on the layout and then toss it. They do it for good luck. But what they're doing is they're burning the dice in, and they're trying to, in their minds, they're trying to get it soft enough to where it can change the outcome of the dice by um, um, putting some
Well,
disformality in it.
I I
So
I
and
had
I've seen boxmen and stickmen say don't burn the dice.
I've seen the dice change, brand new set come out of the sleeve, and then a player take all five of them at one time when they were pushed to him, rolled them around the table like this, and the box man snapped his fingers and said, "No, no, no, you can't do that." I think that's the same philosophy, trying to wear down some of those new cut
Yeah,
edges or
they're,
something.
they're they're trying to burn the edges down a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. If it's brand new, they're trying to burn the edges so they can catch. Um, Another thing that people don't probably know, but when I get dice, I look at them and see if they have the same serial number. Not just the pit boss. I don't. I mean,
Wow.
I know that they're
Yeah.
doing, but for me, I look and see if they have the same serial number, because I've had dice come to me one time that didn't have the same serial number, and I stopped the game and said, "Hey, what the hell? It's not the same serial number."
Wow. Never heard of that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So always look at the dice. Make sure that they're the same serial number.
I can believe that because back during COVID there was one casino brand. I'm not going to call them out, but instead of giving you 5 dice to choose from, they would only give you 3. That meant there were 2 other left in the pot somewhere, and you just knew that somehow, some way, those 2 were getting mixed in with one from some other place. I mean, yeah. So that's an important thing, even though it's not going to be common. But
And
if
and and
you're if
look,
you're
I
critical,
I,
if
I
you're a
didn't want to
critical
I didn't want to
DI,
talk
you
about
want to
it.
put the serial numbers.
Yeah, and I didn't want to talk about it earlier when I said dice. Shit, let's keep moving. But now we're talking about dice. I want to say something. I don't believe the casinos employ um, bad dice on purpose to cheat customers. Okay, the penalty that they have to pay the gaming commission is far not worth it. However, not all die is created equal. There are several manufacturers out there, and some of them are lower quality than others. It's a quality of how the dice is manufactured. The casinos are aware of that, and they do buy from multiple um, manufacturers, and they know when they have to take dice out and put dice in. Sometimes if if the table is losing money, they will put lower quality dice because they've seen it from experience that it throws more sevens or something like that. But they do not purposely order or employ bad dice to cheat players. But there's low quality dice and there's high quality dice from the manufacturer, And I'm talking about, mere, very, very, very little, more or less, from the manufacturing. But if you're a DI and you're throwing it in a certain way, it will roll to the left or right because that's how it employs. If you're somebody who's, throwing like this and throwing it, they don't care. But if you're trying to throw it a certain way, like a par shot, and it's going in the air and kind of twisting, it may go like that if there's a little bit of imperfection in it.
Wow. All right.
So just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. To AZTY, where you said you noticed that in Arizona they don't have the same serial number, does that make a difference? I would say it does, because I would be worried about several things, including that the dice aren't from the same batch, the weight, and or somebody has slipped the dice in. So I'm going to say yes, that does make a difference.
Definitely not for the same sleeve. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. And yes, Blazer, you are right that two different manufacturers' dice may have different weights. There are certain gaming commissions that set regulations for size, whether they're 19 millimeter or 750s or 775s. And there are other places, some tribal areas that they don't care about the dice, and they buy lighter dice. And I argue the point that I have dice from the Orleans here that weigh a quarter of what the dice that's regulated by the New Jersey Gaming Commission to weigh has to be. And I've said it many times that the dice are light, and I've been to several places in Vegas where the weight of the dice is different, and people think I'm crazy. But I swear these are like throwing marshmallows. But I mean, it's just not there. I mean, there's other places too. But if you buy like the dice that I give away, or when I say they're casino grade, they're made from Midwest Gaming or the company that currently owns them. And I think that's where the majority of reputable people get from the two manufacturers of them. But some casinos, probably offshore, overseas, or the tribal ones, I think that they buy what they buy at a cheap rate, and the weight, the spin, the equal, when they put them into calipers. I don't think people understand, dependent upon where you go, where you play, and what the gaming commissions say in various states. All right.
I was just looking at some of the chats. I've
Yeah, I'm
seen,
looking too.
Dice Grinders is talking about watching them open. I watched it in many different casinos in Mississippi. I'll see the floor boss. He'll unwrap them. He'll take out the calipers and he'll measure each one, make sure they're all good. He looks at the serial numbers and then he puts them in play. That's what you want. That's what you want. You want the casinos making sure that what they're putting into play is set to a standard. Now I've also seen two different size dice in the same casino, not on the same table, but I've seen the .75s at one table and the .775s at another table. And if you play
Yeah.
enough, you know the difference as soon as you touch them.
Different colors. Colors mean something. There are certain type of colors that I will not play.
Colors, whatever. But I mean, they all look, they all got their logo on them. They all got the same serial numbers, but one will be .775 at one table, .75 at another table. That's just the way it goes. You just got to know how to shoot with both dice.
At some casinos, my local, before they took out the table and put in a stadium, an 8-station stadium crap, they would change them, and they would go from 775 to 750s, and we'd see the change of dice out when they came back to me. You could actually tell that they were different. I know we've got a lot of questions coming in for God Complex, and I wish he could come on the show, but we respect the reason why he hasn't, so I'm going to keep putting questions up for him as well. But let me ask you this, Gargoyle. In AC, one casino, and I'm not going to call it out, but it's a brand that's there. They reverse the pips on the dice, which are common in AC. There's one casino that does it. I refer to them as A dice and B dice because in the European areas they reverse it. So your 3-5, 3-1 is not the same setup. The threes, instead of being pointing down to you, the V is pointing up. Do you pay attention to that? And do you see much of that at all where you play?
Yes, 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 yes. That's something else that people don't, they practice setting a certain set, and they go to the casino and they do the same set and they get different results. They never look and see if it's the Europe. You call it the European set. I call it the reverse set, or not,
Yes.
because yes, I've seen that in many casinos. You gotta. When I look at the serial number, I set the hard way set and make sure that it's and then I go like this to make sure that I'm seeing the right numbers. You gotta know your dice. If you're a DI, you gotta know your dice. I
Exactly.
mean, that's,
Yep. I know when I
A
was playing at this.
lifestyle. It's a lifestyle.
It
You
is.
got to
That
know it.
is. When I was playing at this one casino, I mean, Ted was the one that told me about it, the same Ted we were just talking about, and I never had seen the dice before, and so I go and I set up a 6-5, 6-4, 6-4, 6-5 a lot, and it just didn't look right. So that was the first thing I knew that something wasn't there, and I'm thinking, oh hell, we're here at this casino, I know that, so I usually look when they're pushing the dice to me, even though it may have been a stick call of a 5-3, and the stick man called it. By the time he gets it back to the middle of the table, he could have rolled it over. But I study those dice as they're being pushed to me so that I can, quickly set them up. And I'm telling you, when I go to this casino, it's difficult because at the Atlantis in the Bahamas, they also play with those style dice, and it's hard if you're not used to, or if you don't even know about it.
yep,
If I'm not mistaken, there's a casino in Reno or Tahoe, one of the two, that uses the reverse threes. Basically, what I call it, the reverse three sets.
All right. I'm seeing what the God Complex is talking about. Pulse and dice. I'm not saying that difference in the ink. Well, I guess I don't even think about the ink because you're looking at the pips, to see how they are, or the dimple as he calls it.
They use Alton dice, gold ink one day. I lost it. But anyway.
Oh, sorry. Let me put it back up there.
Paulson dice one day or a second day or a different division of Paulson or blue ink. Yeah, I mean, they're going to change out the dice colors. They're going to change out something about the dice from day to day. And that's to protect the casino from somebody dumb trying to bring in, yesterday's dice or a fixed set. I mean, they do that to protect themselves.
Right. Yeah, I see that. And Ted, I see you're over on Ed's. You switched sides and went to Ed's side. That's okay. I don't know if you were here. Gargoyle will answer your question, and he'll talk offline with you. I just see that you showed back up. You may have missed a conversation about the Taj felt. Let's see. Let me go back up here. Here's a question, and I guess it could be asked. Even I know God Complex can answer this, but we're here with us today. Have you ever seen anybody been kicked out of the casino for winning too much?
No.
I've never been asked to leave the casino, but South Point, who I think it's a shitty place, they told me I couldn't roll anymore. They said that I'm too good for them that day, and I'm like, really? Then I want to play more. I mean, what the hell does that even mean? But South Point is shitty. Don't never go to South Point if you're in Vegas. But I've never been asked to leave a casino. I've been given comps, room, and everything else. Hosts would come in and give me their card so that I could stay and lose that money in their casino. But never leave.
There it is. He just says it. He's never seen that. Here's something interesting.
One thing I've never been told is I have been told I could not set the dice by four balls before.
You did tell me that.
That's
story.
the only thing.
Yeah.
And that was in the old valleys in Vegas.
This is a person that plays with the HCS a lot, and he's been down to Biloxi, and Biloxi Craps obviously he's in the area. But this is something that's interesting. I'm gonna put it back up here because it fell down. When they change the dice at the Orleans, they alternate between a 5-pack sleeve and a 6-pack sleeve. They say the dice are the same size and weight, but the 6-pack seems smaller to us players. I personally have not seen a 6 sleeve. Have you guys?
Yes.
I have not.
Yes, they do have them. A lot of the casinos don't use them, but they do have a six-pack sleeves. Yes.
Interesting. I guess maybe I didn't pay attention, but I have never seen that.
I've
And
never seen it. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. Obviously, I've just not seen it myself.
Most casinos do not use six. For some reason, they only use five. But I have seen it.
okay. Yeah, we were going to move into the comp question, but guys, we've been going at this for over
Yes.
2 hours, and come back to that. El Toro says to me, and he's got a little smiley face at the end. He's, Jeff, when are you going to get to some controversial questions? I don't know whether that's sarcastic or maybe we were talking about something controversial. I'm just trying to moderate the show. El Toro, did I miss a question?
I want controversial. That's why I asked you. Any haters out there? I came here.
I haven't seen any haters.
So, any controversial questions?
Ask that again.
Any controversial questions?
The questions that we've been through, I've gotten to those questions. Let's see here. These are just. I'll put this question over from Dice Grinders while I look for some more. As a controlled shooter, which size bets do you prefer? ATS repeaters, fire bet, or 2-on-1 table? Well, you haven't mentioned much of the fire bet, Gargoyle. Do you see that many tables? Do you play on those tables much?
They don't have the fire bet a lot anymore. I don't like the repeater. I think it's they're asking too much. I don't know what a controlled shooter is. I've never seen a controlled shooter because you can't control the dice. You can influence. So maybe he meant a dice influencer.
I'm sure.
I will play the ATS. I won't play the repeaters because, I mean, think about it. You got to hit the same number over and over and over and over. And to me, I just don't like it. But if I see a fire bet, definitely I will put money on it.
Here's a controversial question from Durso8. Matt asked the question from throwing the dice from the deck or with a backswing.
I always go from the deck. Throwing the dice with a backswing, I don't care how much you practice it, it is not the same every single time. Because you're doing your backswing, sometimes you take it a little bit further, sometimes you throw a little bit, forward. From the deck doesn't change. You're always throwing it from the deck. I know some tables have different table heights, but what I do as far as when I stand on my tippy toe and I make sure that my hand stands straight with my elbow locked, and now and to measure the table, now I know where the table is and I know what I need to do, but you can't go wrong from the deck. You're always starting from the same starting spot. This crap right here is crap.
Ed, I know you're a deck thrower.
I can't add anything to that.
Okay,
I can't add anything to that. I mean, backswing is stupid.
Backward swing, wasted motion, in my opinion.
All a backswing does is add inconsistency to your shot.
I don't know if Cage is still on here, but he will tell you. He came over one day and he was doing this, and I said, Cage, what are you trying to do? He's like, well, I'm trying to kind of get it in a place where I can toss it. I said, guess what? Put your hand back here and put it on the deck. Instead of going like this every time, just start from here. And he's like, huh. Sometimes it's just common sense. But if I don't know what people are doing with this.
You're not on the driving range.
Start from here.
We have several questions here from the chop.
Go ahead.
We have several. You're not on the driving range. You're on the putting green. So why in the hell do you need a backswing?
That's a good analogy. I like that. I had an opportunity to play with Sarge when I was down with Ed, and of course he throws a chopper. But I watch him, and he has this routine that he does. And although he's not throwing from the deck, he measures himself. I don't know how to explain it. He measures himself when he releases that chopper toss, but he's not from the deck. But it's like he's I don't know how to explain it. Ed, you know what I'm talking about. You've seen him. I don't know how to
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say, but I'm a deck shooter now. I wasn't before. I was a backswinger, but in either way, I guess that. I mean, I don't know if that was a controversial question or not, but it seems to have gotten some people stirred up here in the comments on both
If
sides.
you're working on a shot, Jeff, if you're working on a shot, the the more you can eliminate complexity, the less complex the shot becomes and the simpler it becomes. All these motions are just things that you have to think about and put in your brain to do something. The less you have to do that in a shot, the better practice you can get into it. The better practice you can be into it, I guess.
Okay. All right.
You improve your consistency the less junk you put into the toss. You increase your consistency. That's what we're after.
Yes, correct. I got one more question over here. I got to remind you guys, I'm missing some of the questions because you got to put a capital Q so I can pick it up. My software will pick that up. I just can't pin it. Duracell says that there's 81 watching over on the Ed's channel, and I got 39 on my channel currently watching. And the likes on Ed's are 39, and the likes on mine are 24. Guys, give us a like and subscribe, especially. We spent 2 hours here with Gargoil. Yeah, we really appreciate. We really appreciate that.
It'll help us. It'll help us with the video going out to other people.
Maybe they don't like me. Maybe they don't want me to come back.
Here's a question from James Newberry. Would you leave the table if there was a don't player? Well, it says one don't better. I said not a player, but a better. Don't betters don't bother me, but
if the person is already on the table, I won't play. If the person comes to the table, yes, I leave.
Okay.
Let me put it this way. Usually, if I'm in the morning and players come to the table, I leave anyway. So nothing against a don't player, but if it's a don't player, I'm coloring up. I've actually stopped in the middle of the roll and colored up and passed the dice. One time when a don't player came, and I said, "Look, whatever's left on the ATS, if the guy makes it, give it to the dealers." This is just me. Nothing against don't players. Nate, sorry man, but nothing against don't players. This is just not how I play my game. Right. Silver Fox, I hope you made money.
He's a Thursday night. He's got a channel. He goes live on Thursdays, and him and another guy they travel to they live up in the Massachusetts area, and the Maine Northeast area, and they go up. I don't know whether it's Mohegan Sun or Foxwoods or the one up in Boston or whatever, but they play up there. I'm looking for a controversial question, guys. We've been at this over 2 hours. Somebody come up with a good controversial question. Evidently, we haven't met the controversial threshold for Gargoyle yet. So somebody give me a really good question, because if I miss one, I don't want to leave you guys out. I'm scrolling back through both places. I'm looking at some of the questions that we've already answered with another comment.
Love don't players gives me more motivation. That's not the right motivation on the table. You shouldn't be motivated to make somebody else that's trying to win money lose it. You should be wanting to take money away from the casino and not other people. That shouldn't be a motivation, Mario.
All right, some of
that's a good answer.
It was, and actually, let me back up. I'm gonna put this one up here from Red Eye. What's wrong with the don't player? It's part of the game, which is true. That's why I said it doesn't bother me. Let's see what El Toro just said. I got a question coming in after that. El Toro's played with Sarge last month, pushes the limit to see how close to the middle of the table can go, reduces the travel distance back. That's what I tried to say, El Toro. Thanks for putting that in layman's terms for me, but I couldn't explain it. But Ed, you've seen it. I don't know, Gargoyle, I don't know if you've played with him. I know you say you played with Cage before, but I was just fascinated. I saw Sarge in 9 rolls throw 7 6s, and most of them were 6 2s. Yeah, it was amazing. It's exactly what you want. Yes.
Right.
And we bet that hand pretty damn well, if I remember right.
Yeah, until
But,
that drunk
Sarge
lady
is left-handed.
yeah,
Sarge
until
is
that drunk lady
left-handed.
came. Yeah. Yeah, he was stick left.
Sarge
He
is
was stick.
left-handed. And he
Yep.
does aggravate the dealers because he's got this little ritual he does with his hands down beside his ears or some bullshit. I don't know what all
All
it
right.
means.
It didn't
I
bother
got
me.
no freaking clue.
It
Didn't
didn't
bother
bother
me at
me.
all because he was hitting my
No.
fixes. But yeah, he'll set him down. He gets them set because he's throwing his chopper, and he's probably, I'm going to say, the second best chopper shooter that I've seen. And he picks it up. He picks it up off the deck, and then he kind of start reaching out, and he'll stretch out as far as he can, and then he'll do that toss, and it's still click click stop for the most part, and he does a good job with it. Sarge is a great shooter with that. I mean, he has
Yeah,
learned it. He's
yeah.
he's
But
pushed himself into it.
if he's riding the fence, with aggravating the stick man, I mean, if it works for him, it works for him. Um, I
Until the
saw a
stick man
comment that
tells him to stop. Until the stick man tells him to stop, he's good with it, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's kind of like
Yeah.
Doza talked about with not Mad Dog, but Irish Setter. Irish Setter wanted to get the stick left or whatever, and he was going to get as close to the stick as he could, and he was going to start as close to the stick as he could until the stick made him move left. And so if the stick let him get by with
Yep.
it, then he had a shorter distance to throw. And if they
Yeah.
let you get by with it, you get by with it.
Yeah, I've actually been told that I have to. From the left side, I have to because I'm 6'4" with a long reach. And, that I've actually said you can't throw in front of the stick person, and so I have to move over. So I know what you were talking about there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
and I saw a comment. I saw a comment about the don't player. I have nothing against don't players, and if that's their game, but if there's a don't player on where I'm shooting and I happen to go on a nice roll, that person is losing money, and it's just something with me that I think I don't mind taking money from the casino, but I want everybody at the table to make money and not lose money, and I just it's just something personal to me.
Nope. I
So
mean,
nothing against don't player. It's part of the game. I understand.
yeah, to each their own. We'll go on with this question here from Navaldo. How much focus do you place on a DI throwing versus betting strategy? In other words, what is the inflection point between DI endless throws and getting out of your betting strategy a winner before the 7? I'll put it back up there. Sorry, it fell down. There you go.
So if you're throwing the dice and you want to bet, you gotta know how to throw the dice, because it doesn't matter what your betting strategy is. If your dice throw is crap, you're gonna 7 out. You're gonna lose money. Not unless you want to play the don't and you're going for the 7. So if you're throwing the dice, you need to learn. You need to know how to throw. Money management and betting comes after what your throwing does. Like the advantage that you can make at the table based on your throwing. If you're not throwing dice and you just want to get on the table, then of course the betting strategy is a lot more important than throwing the dice. But to me, they go hand in hand. But you gotta find out what your dice is doing and what advantage you can take from your dice to know what your betting strategy should be. Make sense?
Yep. Ed, did you want to add anything to that?
I've been waiting all night to use an analogy
Oh, here we
that
go.
I got from Gargoyle's good friend Memo. I'm giving Memo credit. Yeah, you got 2 swimming pools, and you're gonna go swimming, and one of them's got 2 sharks in it, and one of them's got 4 sharks in it. Which one you gonna go swimming in? You gotta go swimming. You gotta pick a pool. Which one are you gonna go swimming in? You gonna go swimming in the one with 2 sharks? You're gonna go swimming in the one with 4 sharks, right?
4 sharks.
So the DI is
That's
gonna go
comes
swimming.
faster and easier.
Huh?
4
What?
sharks. That comes faster and easier. You don't suffer as
Yeah,
much
you're
from
gonna
the two
die
shark.
quicker. You're gonna die quicker with four sharks, right? But I'd rather swim with two sharks because I've only got two sevens, and we're talking about two sevens versus four sevens. Sometimes six sevens if you kind of count the off-axis shot. Um, so the DI is trying to only swim in that one swimming pool with two sharks. He doesn't want to swim in that swimming pool with four sharks. If that makes sense. Those guys that are setting up like the hardway set, they're playing with four sharks. A few other sets, they're playing with four sharks. If you can change your sets and you know what you're doing and you're consistent with it and you have confidence in your ability, why not play with the two sharks instead of the four sharks? Two sevens versus four sevens on the set.
Good to
And that's
know.
where the DI comes into effect.
Okay.
Hey, Jeff, I have a question.
Oh,
Is
yep. Go
God
ahead.
Complex still on?
He was. He actually on my side over here. He actually talked about some. This was just 5 minutes ago that he. I agree. A distraction of any kind keeps your shooter's attention. So he's still here as of 5 minutes ago.
Okay. Um, if he can answer that, if he's still on here, does he believe casinos employ casino coolers?
Oh, there's a question for you, God Complex. Do you think that casinos employ casino coolers, such as the example you gave, the waitress coming up cleaning? I was at the table with Ed when his host walked up to him on a hell of a roll and tapped him on the shoulder to tell him goodbye or something, or his room was ready or something or other. And then the very next roll was a seven, and we were trying to keep her away from that. But that's a good question. So we'll see if he answers it. We'll give him a couple seconds to answer that. I'm gonna
She
go back
was
to
too
this
damn
question.
good looking to be a cooler, dude.
Oh, she was hot looking. There's no doubt about that. Here's a question from Joe
That's
Ramus.
why she came up. Guys, come
Oh,
on. You know why waitresses, come up?
this was Ed's host.
Because
This.
any decent guy is gonna turn around and look. And if you're the shooter, you just got,
Nope. I
if
agree
you're
with
a
you.
DI, you're getting into a rhythm. If you get off your rhythm, like money coming into the box, all of a sudden, you're on a roll, and all of a sudden they gotta count the money, or they're gonna put money into things, stop the whole thing. It's like, okay, you couldn't wait until the next shooter to do it, stuff like that. I mean, come on.
Yep. I'm gonna put this question back up. But when you throw from the deck, are your two fingers resting on the deck or on the dice? Do you have your fingers on the dice? I was trying to read it faster than
When
I
you
know what
throw
Joe's
from the
trying to say
deck,
here.
do you
Yeah.
two throw with your fingers on the deck, but the dice are resting on your fingers, or is the dice touching the felt and fingers in front and thumb back? The die,
I'm
no,
gonna
my
start out
my, my
start
fingers.
out with
Go ahead,
Go ahead,
either one of
Eddie.
you.
the cut edges of the dice need to be touching the deck, regardless of wherever the hell your damn fingers are. If the edges aren't touching the deck, then you don't have a balanced starting point with your toss. If you're laying on your fingers, then you can wobble, right? So, but if you've got the corner or you got the cut edges of the dice on the deck hadn't moved, and therefore that's the way you need to shoot it. Does that make sense?
And I will
Yep.
add, as they say in the movies, he ain't lying.
All right, let me see if God Complex answered that question. No, they come by in themselves. No, that's just ignorant worker not standing back and waiting for the come out roll. Wow. Um, I mean, I have my mixed emotions because in the old days before poker became so a big game, you would have casino players come in as shills and sit. But I'll have to believe him because he's in the business. I don't think he would stray us wrong here. But yeah, okay. Um, here's a good question. It's not controversial, but for Gargoyle or Ed, who is the undoubtable the best top shooters that is still alive this day? Could you name up to three?
Huh. It's not me.
Well,
Um, I don't know. Again, because I don't go play with groups and people. So, and you can't believe anything you read on the internet. You know, there are lots and lots of long rolls
That's what Abe
that
Lincoln
happen
said, right?
when nobody was there to witness it, right? Um, so I cannot answer that question because I don't play with others. I'm just being honest.
all right. Ed, can you name some?
You know, that's still a very difficult question, and you know, if you answer it, you're going to hurt somebody's feelings somewhere someday. But I know that Banker Dude is the best straight out shooter I've ever seen. Um, I know that Doza is one of the best shooters I've ever seen, even though I've only got to see him shoot a few times because of his toss, but the way he shoots it, the softness of his toss. But he's a stick that was from stick right. So you kind of got to break it down: stick right, stick left, straight out, whatever. I mean, everybody's got a position. When I play with other people, they've got a position that they are supposed to be one of their better shots at, right? I mean, we all want stick left, but there's only one. Aloha Johnny is probably, Aloha Johnny is probably one of the best stick left shooters I've ever seen. Uh, I
Sorry,
don't know what he's
I'm
laughing
glad
at.
I read the comment. I read the comment.
Well, I'll have
I'm
to put that back
sorry.
up in a minute. Aloha Johnny is really good from stick left one. 220 inside, one of the best stick right shooters you're ever going to see. Is a lefty. I mean, I've seen the guy throw 17 sixes or 17 eights. I forget which one in the same hand. Um, you know, I don't. It depends. To me, it's kind of about position. I mean, everybody. I mean, Howard's great. Howard has a beautiful toss. He can throw from different places. Is he the best I've ever seen? If you're talking about somebody who can throw from anywhere on the table, yeah, he's probably as good as you're going to ever see. If you're talking
Back in
about
his younger
a
days.
one
Back in his younger
specific
days.
position, it's going to be somebody different. Um, I've seen Heavy throw extremely well from straight out. I've seen Darth Nader throw from stick left, lights out. I mean, that everybody, it really comes down to position, not who's the best shooter. And that's when you can team up with two or three of those guys at one time. Somebody's off, somebody's on, right? And everybody realizes that's going to happen. But boy, when you get two of the three or two of the five, three of the five that are on, you're going to make some serious bank and you're going to hit the cage.
We
So
don't want to hit
it's an
cage.
impossible,
We
it's
like
an
cage.
impossible question.
Okay.
Do what?
You don't
That's
want
I
to
fair.
mean,
hit
I
cage.
played
We
with
like
Cage.
them.
Cage has got one of the most prettiest shots you're ever going to see, and it's as beautiful in person as it is on his videos. It's even more beautiful in person because I've seen him do it on hard surface. I've seen him do it on bouncy surface. So he's got a great shot. I mean, there's a lot of people out there with great shots. It just depends on where they are on the table and are they in position. I think that's the caveat to the question, which you can't answer.
Let me get to this question, and I'm going to follow up with a second question that's more that may be more in line. But Texas Click, I call him Texas Clicker, wants to know why you spell your name wrong, and then I'm going to go over
He doesn't spell
Gargoyle,
his name wrong. He spells it the right way.
and then I'm going to go over to DA's question, controversial question: bankroll builder or bust 'em? I'm pretty sure I know what Matt's saying there, but I don't know. If that's, I don't know if that's controversial enough for either one of you to tackle.
So I'll take the easy one. The reason why I spell it that way is because back when I got my name for the email, which no longer exists, on the internet Gargoil with a YLE was already taken, but GOIL was not. And I started with that, and it followed me around, and I use it for everything. Um, so, and plus, that's how you spell it in Arabic. Just kidding, just kidding. Um, Not sure about the bankroll bust make 'em. I don't. I'm not sure what that question is.
I think what he's talking about is, do you pay attention to your bankroll, or are you just going to go out there and you're just going to make or break whatever you bring to the table? That's how I took the
Oh
question. I
no
may be
no
wrong.
no 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 no! It is a business. At any given time, I know how much money I have in my pocket, on the table, and in the safe, and minus whatever the wife came and took while I was playing. So, if you don't know that, you better get a calculator or something to write that stuff out.
All right.
You always need to know how much money you got.
It is a business. It is 100% a business.
Here's a question for you from El Toro. Does this dice set matter more than the mechanics or touch, and if so, why?
I think they dice sets and mechanics go hand in hand because you gotta do the right dice set for the right toss, or a specific toss needs to have a specific dice set. A different set could give you sevens. Like if you're a par shooter and you tend to double pitch, then the hard way set is not good for you, right? Because you're gonna double pitch to a seven. Um, you gotta know you gotta know what if you're doing more than one toss. That's why I only stick to a few tosses, and I use the dice sets for those. I don't change dice sets. I change velocity, angle of the toss. Um, for the table, if I see like a lot of back spin on the dice after it hits the back wall. So, but I think they go hand in hand for me.
All right. Um, Ed, you want to add anything before I go on to the next one?
Hey, I changed die sets because I look to see what caused. All right, I blame myself for every seven I throw. All right, was it something that I did mechanically wrong, or is it just something that's happening on that table at that time? And so I always step back and I think about what I threw, how I threw it, and what was my result. All right, so if my double pitch comes out from if I'm throwing a 2V and I throw a 5-2, then I double pitch the top and the bottom. If I did that, I'm probably going to start thinking about moving my double pitch to front and back and see if that corrects the problem with my toss on that particular day. So it's the same mechanics, but is the result happening on a specific table for me? That's kind of the way I look at it. So I will change velocity, lift, launch, landing zone. All those things for me vary on the bounciness or the firmness of the table. You know, I was playing at Gold Strike not long ago, which is some of the bounciest tables you're ever going to play, and I'm landing those dogs. I mean, I am throwing from stick left one. I'm throwing them as light as I can, and I'm basically hitting the 12 in the field, and which is a long way from the wall. But I'm getting consistent results with a specific die set at that point. And so I'm sticking with it. All of a sudden, I think, okay, and mentally, I've got the psychology, I've got the confidence going that this is working. I should be able to throw a decent hand with this particular set if I'm just throwing it very, very softly. And then the weird thing was, thank God I had dealer bets out there. I mean, I had some that would hit there and they might barely move after they hit the table. I was throwing them so soft. They didn't get anywhere near the back wall, but the dealer would still call a point or call the number. thank God I had them bet up on it, because I mean they weren't great throws as far as legal throws are concerned, but I got away with it because I think I got away with it because I had dealer bets on it. But I wasn't trying not to hit the back wall. I was just trying to throw them extremely soft so that they wouldn't go everywhere once they went to the back wall. All I wanted them to do was to hit, bounce a couple times, and land real close to the back wall. Um, so I'm a little bit different than Gargoyle on that standpoint, I guess.
Okay. Well,
And
guys,
it's probably more confirmation bias and psychological than anything else.
I would agree. There's a lot of comments that have come in that are questions. So some of you are just tuning into the show. We're still maintaining over 100 between the two channels, guys. Those that aren't answering questions, I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to get. Some of your questions have already been answered earlier in the show. We've been at this for 2.5 hours. Here's a question I think we can answer pretty fast. What pisses you off at the craps table as a shooter? And question to each, name up to 2 things for each. What's that say? It fell down here. What pisses you off at the craps tables as a shooter? And question to each and name up to 2 things each. So I guess he wants to ask both of you, well, what pisses you off, and can you name at least 2?
I'll start. Somebody coming in and buying in the middle of the roll.
That's mine.
And the other thing that pisses me is dealers that tend to go fishing while I'm trying to toss with
That's
the
a good one.
stick. You know, I've even asked them to just, you know, if they don't want me to roll, just tell me to pass the dice, and I'll pass the dice.
Ed?
Late betters piss me off a lot. Field betters, which are late betters, piss me off a lot. Hands inside the tub when I've already got the dice and I'm getting ready to launch, and they're setting a freaking $10 field bet or some bullshit. That pisses me off to no end. And if it's within my ability, I take the dice and throw it straight at their head when they do that shit.
All right.
Argument
If
about
I'm not too
arguments
far,
about
I'm going to hit them. I'm going to hit
yeah
them between the eyes if I can.
arguments about you mispaid me by $1 or 2. I've
Yeah,
literally reached out
how
in the
freaking
tip rack.
stupid is that? I agree 100%. I mean,
Yeah,
people
I,
bitching about not getting paid $2 on something they shouldn't even have bet to start with.
yeah. I've literally reached out on my chip stack and gave those people the money and said, just shut up and let me roll.
All right. Longest roll you've seen at a table. What's your longest roll you've had at the table?
Longest roll I've seen at the table is my buddy from North Carolina rolled a 67. I don't know if I've seen one that's longer than that. I've rolled a 72, and that was
Wow.
documented by Howard.
Wow.
He had
Nice.
that was at the Cromwell table way back.
Wow. Ed,
Yes.
longest roll and you've seen?
I've
and
had
longest roll you had?
one documented in the low 60s. I think it was 62. That somebody was, I think Banker Dude was tracking rolls one day at the Cromwell. Again, Cromwell. Here we go. We love the Cromwell. I don't ever count my rolls. I know a lot of guys use chips. You use chips to count rolls and all that. I remember, for example, Clay was counting them. He said I had 35 box numbers
Yep,
on a
I do the
hand.
horns. Yep.
Yeah, you keep up with the horns. Clay only kept up with the box numbers. I had 35 box numbers.
Yep.
Those are nice hands. Um, I've had two rolls about an hour and a half, and they weren't slow tables. So whatever that comes out to, I don't know. But time
But
wise and money wise, they were really really nice.
yeah, but don't you find on a longer roll with the people who are actually knowing what they're doing with their bets, the longer it takes to get paid out, and then the DI can get out of rhythm or get out of his sync. Do you find that to be true?
I, you know, I mean, you can say that, but it depends on how the DI can manage that. I talked about before a time when me and my wife were at in Tunica and we were getting ready for dinner, and 30 minutes before dinner, which was 4:30, I started throwing the dice. She came by and bitched at me saying, "Are you throwing the dice?" I went, "Yeah, I'm playing. I'm playing craps. What else am I going to do?" Well, we got dinner in 15 minutes, So I've already been throwing 15 minutes for dinner reservations at 5. She texted me at 6 o'clock. Said, "Are you coming?" I'm like, I'm still throwing the dice the same time, you know. So, an hour and a half roll. I think I made $7,500, $8,000. I cleared up $8,000 on a $500 buy-in. I mean, those kind of rolls. I mean, you're going to have. You're not going to have them every day. You're not going to have them every trip, but those are nice rolls.
All right. I'm going to put a couple comments up here. One comes from El Toro. Great answers from two different DIers. Respect to both of you. I have to agree that you guys have I think you were expecting more controversial and more BS type questions that you were going to be able to approach, but I agree with El Toro that the great answers from both of you. And another compliment comes from my channel from the Pit Boss. Says, Gargoyle, you, like Ed and Jeff, are giving total gold to these players watching. This is real good stuff, or this is real stuff. So thank you for the compliments there. Guys, we're 2.5 hours into this. I have a couple more questions if
Way
you want to
over.
go.
We've gone way over time limit.
Wow.
Yep, yeah.
Wow.
Ed will tell you, Gargoyle. This is what happens. We talk and we say, Ed, 2 hours tonight, and that's it, okay? And the next thing you know, we're well past 2 hours.
I
But
didn't even feel it. I mean, I'm enjoying it so much. I didn't even know that we've been doing that for this long.
well,
I could go
would you
on for another 2 hours.
would you come back and join us again another time?
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
and we have a
Apparently,
track.
I didn't alienate your viewers. So yeah, if you still have viewers after
Oh
this,
yeah.
sure.
Well,
We ain't
you've
had
been
enough
on.
controversy to alienate anybody yet.
Well, that's
But
that's true.
we
But
we
go
are
ahead.
we are planning a holiday, what I'm calling a holiday special. Try to get Gargoyle to come back. We'll try to get Heavy to join us. So we're gonna have like 3 or 4 of us on here, just having fun, talking about craps and answering questions. See how long it goes. But that's kind of one of the things I want to do. You're going to host us because hey, you got the software and you're a great moderator.
That's debatable.
And
But
Jeff, real quick, I just want to piggyback on what Ed said earlier about um, the rhythm and stuff. That's why I play on empty tables because I want to stay in the rhythm, and the dealers know how much to pay me because I always bet the same way. And my friend and I that we used to go, he would bet differently every time, and it got to a point where after a while, I literally had to sit him down and say, look, either you figure out what you want to bet it the same way, make sure the dealers understand what you want so that you don't slow down the game, or you can get on a plane and just go. And it took a while. I mean, I had to kind of bring him along, and finally, he became better and better and better. But you know, he would like say, I want 49 inside, and they would look at him and say, what the hell is a 49 inside? So I'm like, look, if you're gonna stick with me, you can't slow down the game, and while I'm shooting. So you know, most DI will tell you it's about rhythm. You gotta get a rhythm flowing. If the rhythm is not flowing, you're you know you're not going your role as you're gonna force it, and when you force it, you're out.
um, there's been this question asked a couple times. People want to see you throw, but I'm just putting that out there from my friend Arnell over at Dice Grinders. But we're getting a lot of kudos because people know that we're getting to the end of the show, and even Duracell wants to know, is there an after show? And that answer today is no, not this time, Duracell, because
No.
it's been a great show, unscripted. We never know. We knew what we could talk about if we didn't get good questions from you guys that are in the audience on both channels. This is a dual stream. Whether you're watching over on Ed's channel right now, it's got 84 people currently watching. On my channel, I think I'm still maintaining about 30 some. Yeah, it's right around 32. So we've maintained this viewership for the 2.5 hours, and it's just unbelievable because I like what Super Mario. Now I know he doesn't like my channel, but I'm going to put this up here for him. Can you guys have a get together with all the Craps channels, and whoever sucks that weekend has to delete their channel if it's possible? I actually like that idea. But wow,
I'd probably be the first one to go.
No, I don't think. I don't think so.
At least you have a channel,
Yeah.
Yeah, Gargoyle.
There's a reason why I don't have a channel.
Yeah, right. Let's see here. I think that's a question. If I throw the chopper, sometimes I hit each other.
No, I'm gonna tell Ted right now. He is not a subscriber to King Dice, and nobody with any common sense.
Oh
is.
my gosh!
You didn't post that up there, but I just happened to see it over on my other screen from Ted.
It is
nobody
here.
watches King. Nobody watches King Dice, and nobody gives him any idea. He has no idea, no credibility, zero, none. He makes pizzas. I think you guys should order pizzas from him for lunch when y'all go to Vegas. That's about it.
Who's Gargoil? I don't know who's Gargoil.
Well, there's two of them up there. Yeah, he spelled it wrong, but he's trying to get it out there. So answer the controversial questions.
King Dice. I don't know who King Dice is.
Perfect answer. Perfect answer. You don't even want to know. He's a dumbass that wants to degrade everybody. Go ahead.
I only have 2 subscriptions. Well, 3 now. Ed and Casino Gaming, but I joined Mid Atlantic. But that's because that's the only ones I look at. I mean, I look at others, but they're junk. I don't subscribe.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I look at my channel has evolved in of an entertainment channel. If you ever come and watch the channel, I'm a fool. The table standing behind me, I'm having fun whether I'm throwing bad numbers or throwing good numbers. I'm playing with an app so people can enjoy themselves. I'm talking through it. Ed is, the professional. He's the educator. He's like you. He's got the knowledge of how to answer the questions and I say this all the time, that Ed has forgot more than I'll ever know about this game. But, it's just that I'm honored to have you as a subscriber.
I just don't know how you said Ed and professional in the same sentence and kept it composed.
Well, I'm glad we're getting to the end of the show here. Here's Novato. It says something about a 2 hour. I didn't read it all for you. It's clear. 2.5 hours felt like 5 minutes. Fantastic Craps show. Love your sharing your experience in Scraps community. Right on about the rhythm. And we're going to continue to do this until you guys stop watching. Ed and I have agreed to do this on about a bi-weekly to once a month time. And as Ed said, he's putting Ed's doing it. I'm just going to be the producer or the moderator. He's putting together a very heavy-hitting, I want to say heavy because he's there, but a very good-hitting show sometime between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I think, Ed, the way you're talking, it's probably closer to the Christmas time frame of a show that we're going to have some people.
It probably is. I'm hoping Gargoyle will agree to come back. I talked to Heavy about 2 days ago. He said he was in. He would love to come in just do the show. Who knows? I might bring in somebody else, but if you get too many in, it's just it's too much. But I think if we had a good round table with just three or four of us, we'd have a good time just talking craps.
Well, the ones
whether it's old stories or whether it's answering questions.
The ones you have mentioned, I think, is going to be well, and I'm actually looking forward to moderating that show. And the dual stream seems to work. Appreciate everybody supporting both channels. But here you go, Ed. Here's somebody that knows something about KD. Right there. Is it pineapple on the pizza or what? We'll leave it at that. I know there's questions coming in. Some people
Yeah.
just joining us, like my good friend Kevin. This has been asked a couple times. What's a typical buy-in for you, Gargoyle? I'm just making sure we don't leave anybody out here, but can't get to all of them. What is your typical buy-in?
Uh, 3 to 5. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. That's why I'm going to say 3 to 5. For me, that's 3 to 500, but for you, that would be 3 to 5,000. No,
Yeah.
I do appreciate it. Kevin, he answered a lot of those kind of questions early in the show. Probably if you went to about the 20-minute mark, because the first 20 minutes we BS'd a lot. But I think we're going to have to call the show here. And Super Mario, thank you. I really appreciate that. I know on the last time that I was on, we were on. You told Ed that you were on the right channel and the left channel, but I've been sarcastic when I said that to you. And Arnell, any words about the new Craps at UI coming? I will just say this because I don't want to put that into this show too much. Version 2 is not ready yet. Version 1 has some user interface upgrades that you should see within the next 10 days, and they are beautiful, especially you as a host, and that's what I'll say about that. I do have plans on having Chuck with us probably post Craps for the Cure, because he's gonna have a whole hour of Craps for the Cure, so you'll be able to ask him those questions. If you're not going to be there through CQ's channel, he'll be there for a full hour, and you can ask him. I don't want to take too much of his thunder, but I appreciate that question. Would you guys come out to Hawaii and the casino Scraps at the table? KK, my friend KK, come on. You guys are just awesome. Let's go ahead and wrap it up, and we'll start with our guest, Gargoyle. 2.5 hours flew by. Actually, it's almost 3 hours. It's almost 3. You've been in my studios for 3 hours because you got here 25 minutes before we started.
I know, and you've been a gracious host, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. And honestly, me having been under the radar for so long, but now coming out and doing some of these, it's because I just want the community to know that there's junk out there and there's stuff that they need to hear in order to better their game. And I hope we're helping people better their games. And forget about talking bad about people. We're not here to talk bad about people, but we're here to help people better their game. And it's about minimizing losses more than anything else, because if you can do that, you stay in the game longer. And thank you for inviting me. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, I've looked forward to this since Ed mentioned it to me, and I've talked to Ed over the weekend. And today I got a little worried, just so you didn't know this, Gargoyle. I sent Ed an email. I sent him 4 text messages, and he never replied. And so I had to send him a late message on my way to the meeting that I went to before I started this show. And he said, "No, I got it." So all worked out. But thank you for coming on. Ed, do you have anything that you would like to add to the show?
Man, I'm sorry I didn't get to, be really rude and condescending to somebody out there. That's not my normal self. I guess I was being nice tonight. But,
Uh,
thanks to Gargoyle. He's a good friend. He and I have talked a lot. We've gotten to know each other over the last several months since we did our interview. And hey, he's in a point where he is being recognized for who he is and for what he's done in the past and what he's doing for the future. And he's just trying to share some of the information and knowledge that he's gotten over the years. And that's really what we want to do. We want to help people play this game smart. We want to help them play. If they're a DI, we want them to learn more about being a DI. And we all want to tell them not to watch and believe that all the freaking snake oil that they see out there that somebody puts out just because they got a video channel. Having a video channel does not give you credibility that so many people tend to want to give you for having a channel. If you're not, hey George, if just because you got a channel don't mean that they know what the hell they're doing, right? KD is a good example. Is that controversial enough?
No, I think it is. We're even getting
Go buy a pizza.
likes. We're even getting yeah, we're even getting likes from people that are backswingers. See that they still enjoyed the show, although they're a backswinger. Guys, if you're just joining the show, you don't know what that means. We've been at this for almost 3 hours, and a lot of these questions I don't want to repeat, but I'm trying to get as much of the information out here to show you two that the audience really appreciated it. Maintaining. Let's see, we just fell under 100 for the first time in almost an hour and a half watching between the two channels on the dual
Yeah,
stream.
we've had good participation. I appreciate each and every viewer that on both channels that have tuned in tonight. And that, Jeff and I do something that's unique. We stream on both channels. We don't just stream on one channel. So
Right.
we stream on two channels. That gives everybody all the bandwidth they want to bitch or complain or ask questions.
That is true. That is true. And although my mouse is not cooperating with me at the moment, I'm trying to hit just a couple more of these that are coming up here because we got a lot of thank yous. So Gargoyle, you made the show tonight. You kept Ed in check. He didn't get unruly. We did have an email that we probably could share in a whole nother show again, and I apologize to John for not getting to it. But the chats actually seem to the questions seem to come in, and I don't think we ever reached your controversial question that you were looking for. But
That's all right. I'll be back for it.
okay, and look what Texas Kicker says here. He missed the last half hour. Can we start over? The answer to that is no. That's why they always have the replays.
We ain't starting nothing over.
Yeah, that's why they always have the replays. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and call the show here. Gargoyle, I listened to Ed. I've talked to Ed about every guest that he's had, and I don't want to highlight either one of them, but you were one of the favorite ones that when he told me what the content was before the show went out on the Tales of the Table, I said I got to watch this one, and it was a delight to watch you on that show. It was a delight to see you come on Craps Chat a couple times. I hope you come back to Craps Chat on Sundays over on Casino Gaming TV. And I'm glad that we had you here tonight. As you can see, the audience loved you. With that, Ed, I'm going to say the usual thing. Do you have some type of slogan that you like to say, Gargoyle? Because Ed and I have a routine outro. Do you have something that you say?
Yeah. Don't listen to the dumb and the useless out there.
I like that. Let me write that down. Dumb and the useless. All right. Dumb and the useless. Oh, wow. That's like a daytime soap opera. I love it. I love that. There's just this. I just really do.
I could hear the piano music already.
Yeah, I could too. There was a question on here. If somebody wanted to know if you were on Instagram, real quick, Gargoyle. Is that a yes or no?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, Ed. He's got the dumb and the useless. Ed, you give your out tag, and I'll give mine, and we'll get out of here. And Gargoyle, don't go anywhere because we'll come right back on.
Practice.
All right, I cut you off. Well, I cut you
off. Practice like you play.
Go ahead.
Practice like you play. Play like you practice. Then go roll to win.
All right, guys. Be safe. Play smart. We'll see you in a couple weeks.